Hello. Welcome again to Puck Yourself. We have the Lions game in front of us because we're recording this on a Sunday. And they're up 21-14 against the Titans.
They're on the 1, too. They just got a touchdown called back. Anyway. We're not here to talk about football. We're a Leafs podcast.
Yep.
And there's a lot to dive into.
Warning, I don't think it's all good.
It's not. It's going to be mostly
I think it's
bad.
a lot of bad.
So, there's been 5 games since we last recorded. We last recorded
last
Friday.
Last
Friday night.
Yeah,
Friday night. So we missed
losses.
We missed the Rangers game on the Saturday. We were at the wedding.
We were kind of keeping up on the phone, but
we didn't watch the game.
Yeah.
And then last night's game against Boston, Jack watched it. I missed it. I was at a Halloween party because Jack bailed on me and stayed home.
I had enough brownie points so that I didn't have to go.
Yeah,
because I wanted to watch the Leafs game.
Yeah. And then the rest of the week, we watched the rest of the games, and so obviously we can't say much about the Rangers game.
No.
We'll just go in order here
Leafs,
for the games.
Matthews scored.
It sounded like Shesterkin played well. I don't think we got blown out in terms of the play, from what I hear. I don't know for sure. But it was a 4-1 loss. But it kind of seemed like an outlier. Just kind of got bullied.
Yeah. They were going off of who'd they play before? LA was before the Rangers.
Yeah, that sounds right. The Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, New York, it is what it is. New York's a good team. Like, we talked about this. New York's a good team.
One of the better teams in the
league.
Don't
mind if it's competitive. We can't really tell if it's competitive. I don't know, looked at a few highlights, but that doesn't really tell the pace of play or anything.
And then Monday night, the way they played against Tampa.
Unbelievable.
We just thought, okay, it was a bad night. They got goalied just like the opening night against Montreal.
Stoli playing like a fucking like playoff goalie.
Yeah.
Like that behind the back save when it's on the line. It was sick.
Yeah.
It was sick. He was playing really well. They played physical against Tampa. They were aggravating Tampa. Who was it? Ben Wall, who got to point up at the scoreboard at the end of the game when he's giving
in the scrum at the end.
Like it was a really good looking game.
Nobody, and I mean this guy doesn't. Even if he gets peppered, Vasilevsky doesn't get chased.
No,
he stays in the game.
Yeah,
and Cooper said, "You're done." So
we had the answers.
We were there.
We were start the celebration. The cup's coming.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but
and then they
had the back-to-back the next night. Hildeby played. I wouldn't say it was his fault. He wasn't terrific. He wasn't bad. He wasn't great. I don't think he's ready.
That was the one against Columbus.
That was Columbus on Tuesday night.
The guys didn't look great. They didn't look...
Yeah, the team was bad.
They were losing foot races. I also don't put this really on Hildeby. Like, I think I recall being like, okay, he could be playing a little bit better. There's some of those that were
they scored 1 goal. They didn't play well.
No.
It was just the effort wasn't there. And it kind of seemed like, again, look, it wasn't a typical Berube, what we've seen so far, because we talked about it last week. They've adapted really well, which we thought it would take longer to adapt.
But they're adopting a play style. Now it's just,
and then Tuesday was lifeless. You thought, okay, it's 1 game. And then Thursday night against St. Louis was more of the same shit.
Yeah.
It was just... They weren't skating. They weren't physical.
Losing puck battles, making Binnington look really good. I don't know if this was the game, but this was when, over the whole week, it's been, where's the power play?
Not just the whole week. It's been...
The power play is not producing at all. It's like second last in the league. It's like very bad. It was like 3 for 37, I think, was the talking point that we had gotten.
Yeah. It looked a little bit better last week. Slightly better. But, yeah, it's not even... It's everything. Like, it was just... Everything was a disaster this week.
Yeah.
The Columbus game... Listen, I thought the Columbus game and St. Louis games were kind of equally as bad.
Yeah.
But St. Louis is a better team to me.
Yeah. And honestly, Columbus was playing well.
And I thought we actually had better chances against St. Louis.
I'd also agree.
Columbus game was just...
It was just tough to watch.
Nothing, like lifeless. I thought after the first period, okay, Berube's going to lay into these guys in intermission.
Come out.
We're going to get going a little bit. I'm not saying we're going to win the game, but at least get something moving a little bit. And it didn't happen. No. It was just...
No.
And then St. Louis, offensively, it was a little better. But everything else, like defensively, D-zone coverage, not physical, just not finishing checks, just skate by a guy. As soon as he touches the puck, he gets rid of it, skate by. Finish your hit. Be physical.
Yeah. The other thing, too, is, like, we're playing a lot into, like, you'll have 3 guys going in the corner.
Yeah, that says D-zone coverage. Listen, Austin Matthews is my favorite player. For sure right now, possibly ever. He was horrible this week.
Yeah.
I didn't see the game last night. I obviously saw the turnover in overtime, which wasn't great. Now, granted, there's somebody else I would like to point out on that turnover, but we'll get to that in a bit. Just kind of, I don't know. He's supposed to be like one of the better defensive forwards, and he has been. And then this week, I don't know. It's only 1 week. It's only been a few games. I'm not going to say it's going to last forever here. But I am going to call guys out when they don't play well. And Matthews is our best player, and he should be paid what he gets paid. But this week, he wasn't good.
Well, and honestly, it speaks to the Marchand quote. Because you have Montgomery tearing into Marchand, comes out after and says, yeah, we need to hear that.
Yeah.
Like, honesty, that's what you're reliant on.
Yeah.
You need to hear when things aren't
and
going well. And
Berube let him hear it.
Yeah.
That line, the first line, Marner, Matthews, Nyes, he let him hear it. But and now granted, it's not just Matthews. I don't think anyone particularly played well. No. You know what I do think in those 2 games, the one player who gets dogged a lot because of the contract and because maybe the foot speed isn't there to today's standards. But this is a player who's never been quick, even when he first came in the league, when the league wasn't as fast as it is now. But Tavares always goes into battles. He's not going to blow guys up, but he's not afraid of physicality. He gets in the corners. He gets dirty. He'll win battles. He'll win face-offs. He always works hard. The vet guy. He used to be the captain. I know it's a new era, so we're handing it over to Matthews. There's going to be growing pains. He's never done it before, and Tavares leads by example. And I actually thought Tavares was really good on Thursday night, particularly against St. Louis.
Even last night,
I didn't see last night, so I'm not sure.
Even last night, he was getting some really nice looks. Like it was noticeable that he was like standing out because even last night.
Did he play in the second line last night? Was he with Nylander last night?
No, I think last night he was third line.
He was still third line. Okay. Because at the end
don't quote me on it.
At the end of the St. Louis game, they mixed the lines up, and I think he was up with.
They were
Nylander.
looking for anything.
Yeah,
they
were just mixing it up a bit.
No.
Even McMahon usually buzzes around. He's flying around. He's hitting. He's physical. He's quick. Just lifeless. I don't know. It just wasn't there.
Well, and he started hot too, and you were like, okay, maybe this is a breakout year for this guy.
And just the typical small, tiny guys who aren't gonna get physical.
No.
We know who we're talking about.
Max.
We're talking about Domi, Marner, Nylander. But we don't expect this from Marner and Nylander. We know what type of players they are. That's not their game.
Yep.
Domi is advertised to be a physical player. He is not a physical player.
Max, I like you as a player. I think you're a stud. But I don't know. McMahon started hot. You were like, okay, this might be something to get excited about, but he cooled off.
Yeah,
it was really only a 3-game period.
I don't expect McMahon to be some downright stud goal scorer. I think he could probably be a 20-goal guy. He's an energy guy. He hits. He can skate. He's a good role player. I don't expect him to be, but it's not the not scoring part was bothering me. It was skating by guys. Don't finish your hits. And it wasn't just him. I'm just giving examples. It was the whole team.
Well, it's a bigger question mark because you see them play against Tampa and the effort that they put out against Tampa. You're just like
what the fuck happened in 24 hours?
What happened here?
Yeah, what the fuck happened in 24 hours?
I get it. You're tired. You're also elite athletes.
Yeah.
I'm not the one putting on the skates.
Yeah.
I'd be out of breath in 30 seconds. But like when you're playing at this level, it's not end of the season. You've been grinding all.
And I get it. You're gonna have bad nights. Sometimes the puck luck's not gonna be there.
We're not expecting 82,
but it's got to be. The effort has to be there, especially in a Chief team,
or at least the grittiness.
Just
something to be like, okay, yeah, we're not on our A game. No, you're not going to be on your A game every single night.
Exactly, 82 game season, right?
I get that.
Yeah,
but show a little bit of grittiness, show a little bit of character. That's what's going to kind of the culture that if you can form that, where even when you're playing down, you're battling. That's how you're going to get deep into a playoff run.
Yep, and that's what's going to change. And they showed the first week and a half, 2 weeks, that they could play that way.
Yeah.
But then they didn't play that way this week.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. I don't know what you thought last night, if they played a little more physical last night. Because it was Boston, kind of the stakes.
They certainly played physical, and you saw, like, OEL reigniting some stuff from the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, OEL had a tough week.
Yeah.
He had a tough week.
Yeah. And actually, a couple notes. Okay. So, we'll, in terms of last night, it was... They started bad, and then they, like, 10 minutes through the first period, they hadn't had a shot on net yet.
Oof.
0 shots on net, 10 minutes.
That's tough.
A little tough on that. And then it kind of transitioned. They scored, and it was a really... What was the first one? The first one was a good goal. That was the... Was that the Matthews goal? That might have been the Matthews goal. Because the 2 goals for the Leafs, Matthews goal and the Riley goal. Actually, I think it was the Riley goal first. Beautiful. We love to hate the guy. Mitch Marner did a Mitch Marner thing and made a beautiful pass to Riley coming in on the fly. And just a beautiful, beautiful shot by Riley. Like, really, really nice play. And you're like, okay, this is great. They've woken up a little bit. Instantly gets taken back, like, ties up 1-1. And then it was just kind of an exchange. Like, Matthews scored a sick goal in front of the net. But then they just kind of fell off. And they weren't doing well in the power play again. And then we get into overtime. And unfortunately, I don't know if you've seen this clip, Matthews going back to the own zone.
Referring to earlier was the turnover.
I just don't know what he saw to where he's like, I'm going to send the puck this way.
Yeah, clearly.
Picked off, lose the game.
Maybe he didn't expect them to. I think they went for a change. Because I think that's why he turned back into his own zone to get the change to keep possession, right?
And the other thing, like the goal to tie it up the second time was Nylander trying to skate around and just loses an edge and give away.
So the Matthews stuff. I want to touch on the one in St. Louis. So they let in a goal against St. Louis on the penalty kill, or it was Matthews and Tanev. The puck was in the corner, and Matthews and Tanev were kind of in no man's land, and there was a guy out front wide open. And at least one of those guys should have maybe read the play a little bit, and that was just D zone coverage, not paying attention. And then the other one was the one. Matthews, I forget who was on D, but the defenseman gave Matthews a pass from super close. And everyone's like, why is Matthews going backwards? He didn't control the puck. So the pass was horrible. He passed it into his skates. So what do you want him to do there? It's not that. That's not what I have an issue with. I don't know why people are pissed off about that. I was pissed off about the battle in the corner afterwards, that he had the puck. He had to go backwards because of the pass he got. But then the battle in the corner is 2 against 1. I don't remember who the defenseman was, but it was Matthews and one of our D in the corner, and they lose the battle to one guy.
Yeah.
Put a body on the guy. And again, it's not just one player, but this is our $13 million player. So if you're going to have bad nights, I'm going to call you out on it.
A $13 million mistake looks a lot worse than a $3 million
mistake. That's why Marner gets the shit that he gets. That's why Nylander gets the shit that he gets. Tavares, Riley.
Yeah.
You are not cheap players. So if you're going to make that kind of money, this is what you got to do.
Yeah. In terms of, like, the Pasternak thing, so, like, the Pasternak goal was good. Like, it was a sick shot by him. He's going to finish every time. The pass across the middle of the ice, the pass across seams was kind of, like, brutal. You would have hoped that could be clogged up a little bit. But it was a good finish. Credit last game is when we took the double minor for Nylander along with, I forget who else was in the box, OEL, someone. And then Nylander had that high stick. Really good penalty kill. You had a 5-on-3 and then a double minor. And they showed up really, really well. They were clearing it. It was like you were able to actually applaud their penalty kill. Riley played really well defensively last night. And actually, like the last couple of games, he's been more reliable on D ever since OEL took the offensive player position and has been leading.
Weird D pairings that they moved OEL with Riley and Tanev is with McCabe. It's very strange to me. I don't know. It's weird.
They brought it up last night at the game. Tanev leading the league in blocked shots.
Absolutely zero surprise.
And like seeing the highlight, he's just staring him down. Yeah. It is just so unusual to see a Leaf putting that much emphasis on getting in front of the puck, and it's like it makes the acquisition look so good, like unbelievable.
Yeah. So you touched on the penalty kill. It wasn't terrible all week. There was a few kills here and there, but the ones that were bad were really bad.
Yeah.
It's just the critique. You can't fall asleep. It's the NHL. You can't do it. You can't do it every night. It doesn't matter. You could be playing, for example, Columbus is one of the weaker teams in the NHL. I'm watching football right now. That's why I keep saying NFL. But there's no nights off. And
when you have the offensive prowess that you have on this team, you're just kind of shaking your head being like, why are we not scoring more goals on the power play?
Look at Calgary. Calgary's not winning because they're going to outskill teams. Calgary's winning because they're going to grind out results. That's how it is. And the Leafs, they've proven how many years in the regular season they're gonna score goals. They're gonna figure it out offensively. But come playoff time, it's not that they can't do it. We've seen them in the playoffs grind wins out. But because they don't do it all season, they're not gonna because they play Boston or Florida or Tampa in the first round every year. It's not an easy matchup.
No,
it's not. The playoff format isn't what it used to be. So if you're playing in the Atlantic, it's a very top-heavy, strong division. You have to play those tough matchups round 1 and round 2.
Yeah.
And you got to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
So you want to be better than those teams at playoff style hockey, you got to play it all year. You can't wait.
Myers and for Timmins.
How did he do?
He did fine.
Just normal.
He did
typical.
fine. Nothing crazy, but nothing unreliable. So it was cool. And then Pacioretty returned. No real highlights from that.
He's just kind of.
He's there, Mike score.
Fly under the radar a little bit. It's never going to be a big. So we've kind of touched on all the games. We've kind of gone back and forth on all the games. So we talked about the power play. Well, what do we think? What can we do to change the power play? Like, what do we think is going to make it better here?
Looking at it from last year to this year, they're not going the Matthews get into open space and give them a
because
one-timer.
Teams are starting to figure it out. Like they're keying on it, right?
Minor's not shooting, so you're letting Minor dance around. OEL's been the most offensive guy on that thing. He's firing the shots a lot,
which is what you want from the defenseman, right? It's another. You would think it would open it up a little bit for Matthews, but it's not just that. It's just it's static,
and then
there's no movement
because you see it and you're like, no one else is taking looks.
So do we try to take the old approach? Because everyone now is 4 forwards, 1D. Everyone loads up their first power play now.
Yeah.
Do we go to the old approach where it's kind of it used to be
Riley,
just it was the first line and the second line? You kind of split up the big guns a little bit.
Yeah.
Because at least that way, because you know what I think our biggest problem on the power play is? I think we've not every power play, but we've generated enough chances to score, and the scoring is one thing that's kind of been an issue a little bit so far this year.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought.
I mean, when you had last year Matthews start with 2 hat tricks in a row. This unbelievable. The scoring wasn't an issue starting out last year. It was like from the get-go, okay, it's defensive. Clearly, that was our issue. Again, now it's kind of pivoted, and it's, okay, we're looking more defensively sound. Where did the goals go? In terms of, like, okay, could we do a 2D? Sure.
Not 2D. I'm saying mix the... we got to separate your
so
four
who would you
big
have?
guns.
Who would you have on
is
PP1 then?
Well, Matthews has to be PP1.
And then Marner to feed him, I think, still.
You just keep Marner. I would assume Marner and Matthews would stay together, and then Tavares and Nylander would stay together. That's kind of the assumption.
And then bring up, like a Domi?
No, Nyes would be in the... That's what I'm saying. Back in the day, it used to be your first line's your first power play, your second line's your second power play, and maybe there's one guy that rotates in whenever. Sure. And that's kind of what it was, because usually it was the first power play unit plays 1 minute, the second plays 2 minutes. The teams that, like the Leafs, like the Oilers, like the Avs, that have all the big studs on offense, the first power play unit's playing the majority of the power play. Like, it's playing a minute and a half for the most part, right?
I think this early into the season, play around a bit.
You know what it is?
No issue with playing around a bit.
I remember what I was going to say. It's puck retrieval. There's nobody there to win the puck battle back. Because they're all skilled players. They're not going to go win the puck back. Marner ain't winning shit back. Nylander ain't winning shit back.
So go get a Matthew Nyes who is willing to go.
Nyes will go with puck retrievals, right? You need to
body.
You need one guy on the power play that's going to win the puck back. That's why Hyman is so effective.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've struggled out of the gate this year so far, but it's early. And again, I don't want to go crazy one way or the other. They play well, we're going to win the cup. We don't play well, it's the end of the world, okay?
No.
It's not the end of the world.
It's not time to panic.
But things need to change if we want to be successful when it matters.
And Berube's talking about that as well, where it's like, no, it's not time to panic, but like, yes, there's clearly issues here.
Yeah. And we talked about, we're surprised that growing pains weren't there before earlier in the year, and they're here now.
Yeah.
And this is what you got to go through to get there.
It's a new system.
Now's the time to find out if these guys are willing to do it or not. And if you're not, it's time to kick fucking rocks.
And move pieces around as we figure out, okay, where are the bottlenecks?
Yeah.
Where are the weak links?
And even if you want to keep the first power play loaded, I need to see more movement. It's static.
Yeah.
I need to see more movement.
Fair.
One of my talking points before this disastrous week was that Matthews is starting to score goals again. Everyone was kind of, why isn't Matthews scoring? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Especially when you have such a high standard.
It's inevitable. Okay, he goes through a little bit of slump. It's the beginning of the season. What did he play? 2 preseason games?
And he scored against New York.
You gotta give him a little bit of a runway, and that guy is not gonna not score goals. He's gonna score goals.
He's gonna score goals.
Yeah.
Scored against New York. I think he scored against St. Louis.
How many did we get that night? 1?
Yeah, I think. If I recall correctly, he scored another one. He scored last night and
There's
got
a couple
assist.
Last week before the disastrous week. He scored a few, right?
So he's picking up. It's not erupting with a hat trick, or like, and he's not really scoring in typical Matthews fashion.
He scored Thursday.
Right on his sick
Monday. Shot. He probably scored Monday against Tampa, I'd imagine. Yeah, Monday.
And so it's like, yeah, he's trudging along. He's putting up one every few games. He's getting. He might be point per game still.
Offensively, I know we're talking about it a little bit. I wouldn't panic. I don't think that's going to be an issue.
No.
Guys like that have that much talent, they're going to find ways to score. It's just the way it is. Yeah. Like, Marner's going to put up points. I don't have an issue with that. Nylander's going to put up points.
The feed to Riley last night was disgusting.
That's not what I take issue with anyway. I'm not sure about Jack because he's a fake Leafs fan. We all know he's an Oilers fan. We'll stay in the positive column a little bit before we get really negative here.
Okay.
Which is crazy to say, get really negative. Nyes didn't have the best week. I wouldn't say he was the worst player. No. But before that, I know last year he struggled to put points on the board a little bit, but he has continued to play the game the right way, and he's finally getting rewarded on the score sheet a little bit this year.
Yep.
He's putting the puck in the net a little bit, and he keeps getting in those areas, and it's going to happen for him, especially when you're playing with those guys, right?
I think he scored... When did he score? Where it just came to him. He had that quick release.
Was it last night? I think he got one last night on the rebound.
Yeah.
If I saw the replay correctly.
Right, that was where Matthews got his assist.
Yeah.
Nice shot, quick release, in the right spot, reading the play.
Yeah.
Like, fantastic.
Yeah, I have not. Even when he wasn't scoring last year, I didn't have any bad things to say because you can see what he's doing. He plays the game the right way. He's getting penalty kill time this year, and I like what I see. He's good on the forecheck. He wins battles. He's starting to put the puck in the net. So
hats off to Matthew. Nice.
Yeah. Okay, those were our positive thoughts. There wasn't a lot, just the two things there. The negative thoughts. Okay, this first one is kind of neutral. So Nick Robertson, I just wanted to touch on it just to see where we think we're at based on all the preseason stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not putting up preseason numbers. His preseason was insane. That was him earning a spot on this team, and like against other guys trying to earn spots on the team, both for whoever they were playing in the Leafs themselves. He's been okay.
I think here's the question. If Robertson isn't putting points up, is he doing enough otherwise to prove that he deserves a spot? Because I don't think Nick Robertson wants to be a third-line player his whole career.
No, and he won't develop if that's where you're sticking him. I think his upside is like really nice. I think he has a good amount of upside potential. So then it just turns to, okay, where is he going to get that development? It's not going to be on the third line.
He has gotten a lot better, 100%. I remember when he first came in, the skating, it's not that he wasn't quick, but it's kind of like you got to stay on your feet a little bit.
And that's still kind of an issue.
He's better, though.
Yeah.
He's better. And he can shoot the puck. You can tell he can shoot the puck. It's just not coming off so far, and you need the intangibles. Listen, I think Robertson could be a really good player in the NHL. I don't think he's going to be some superstar stud.
Yeah.
Ever. And if you're not going to be that, what else are you offering?
You've either got to be a grinder or you've got to put up...
If you're going to be a secondary scorer, if that's going to be your role, you need some other things to your game if you want to stay in NHL. He'll be in NHL lineups, but if you want to be in the first two lines.
If you want to be a line two winger...
Yeah.
Like I need
to see a little more, and even to play line 3. If you're going to play line 3 and you're going to be in a shutdown role, I kind of need more defensively, right?
Play the role.
Yeah, it's kind of. I've mentioned this before. I don't know if I've mentioned it on here. It's kind of in the same vein of when Kadri first came in. Kadri kind of came in the NHL and he thought, I'm gonna light it up because I lit it up in the OHL, right? And it didn't really work out that way. It took him a while to figure it out, but once he figured it out, he found his role. Great two-way player now, right?
Phenomenal two-way player. Naz, I love
and
you.
The points started to follow a little bit, right? The points started to follow once he figured that out.
London,
he wasn't a 100-point guy, but he was putting up solid numbers.
He was putting up goals, and you're like, okay, these are individual effort goals. He was so sound defensively. He was forechecking like a monster. I love the way Kadri adapted to his play. Like,
and
really
that's
was cool.
And that's what you kind of need to see from Robertson at this point. He's
Naz isn't a big guy.
He's not no.
He's not a big guy, and he's still a shutdown.
Again, Robertson's a winger. Kadri's a center, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah,
but Robertson is kind of like he needs to be a puck hound, get on the forecheck, win some battles, right? That's what you need. I don't expect he's not a big guy. I don't expect Robertson to go buzz around blowing guys up. But you need a little bit of physicality. You need to be able to take a little bit of physicality, right? That's what I don't want to see. Obviously, we still have a lot of time left in the season to prove it. I know he signed it. His deal is just a 1-year prove-it deal. If it keeps going the way it is right now, I think he's gone. I just don't. I think he needs to get an opportunity, maybe on a weaker team where he can get more minutes, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just not working.
It's not enough.
From a production standpoint. I don't not like the player. I like the player. It's just, he's 22, 23 now. It's time to take the next step.
Yep.
And we don't need you to come light the lamp. We need a little bit of secondary scoring. And we just need some intangible things that we haven't really seen much of.
A guy
to help the team, right?
A guy doing exactly this is Lawrence.
Yeah.
Lawrence is
and Lawrence is not gonna put up big numbers.
No.
He's gonna play his role.
He's going to play his role. He's going to win puck battles. He's going to get physical, and he's going to outwork the other team to put his team in a better position.
So, Rob, basically, final thoughts on that would be, I think he's gone. I haven't seen enough that he's going to score enough.
I think it's got to
keep his role.
It's mutually beneficial. Yeah. Go send him to a team where they actually need some like offensive talent. You know who was talking?
Someone who
about
could be patient. The Leafs can't be patient right now, right? The Leafs don't have that luxury.
No.
You go to a team who's kind of maybe in the mix, kind of trying to get into a playoffs. They're young. They could be patient a little bit, right?
A little bit.
The Leafs aren't that.
A little bit tangential. Montreal's looking. Montreal said they're looking for a forward with some edge,
and they've Montreal has kind of struggled the past couple weeks. They started decently well, but Montembeau's kind of not that he's been
sometimes
bad,
stars burn so bright.
Yeah, not that he's been bad, but it's kind of like one night he's on, one night he's off. Yeah. Okay. So let's get into the real nitty gritty here.
Okay.
So Wall played his first game Thursday night.
Tough.
I don't think he was terrific by any means. I think the first period was a little rough, but I wouldn't necessarily say any of the goals were some Samsonov stinkers. Okay.
Yeah, it felt like he needed a little bit of warm-up.
I think he kept him in the game.
He was fine. He wasn't like
he kept him in the game.
Oh boy, baby, Wolves back. Because honestly, I'm still like, even last night, Stolarz. Oh my god, the 1 save, 2 save, and only on the 3rd attempt, like he can only do so much. I love the way Stolarz is playing. So to see Wolf come back and be like, okay, let's see how he does. Let's give him an honest, shot here. He's still in the mix, like could still be a starting goalie. He looked okay. He looked fine. Yeah, he made some nice shots. His positioning is fluid. There was a little bit of a, worry. Particularly he took, he got run into in his knee, and you were instantly like, oh, tell me this is again. Tell me this is a 3rd, 4th time he's about to get injured. But because he was shaking it a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was fine. He got up.
But in terms of just the way he played, I didn't have any. I know some people were a little critical. I didn't really have an issue with it.
It's his first game back, and look at what the team's doing. You can't blame.
And the team was terrible.
Yeah, you can't blame Wolf for that.
The team was terrible. So that's kind of my thoughts. So what do we think the timeshare is going to look like now?
50-50.
You think it'll be completely 50-50?
I think for the next week or two, 50-50, and see what goes on. See what goes on. The Marlies were called.
Hildaby. Yeah, that's not.
So it's
not that Wall would have to be horrible for them.
I think
to change, like Samsonov last year, bad for him to not.
I think Stolarz is making a compelling case of deserving, at least with what we've seen from him so far, the unbelievable, you got to see the stuff from last night. Some of the unbelievable saves that he's making, I feel I love him in that.
Okay, so I think it'll be kind of 60-40.
Stolarz leading?
I think Stolarz leads for the time being. I think you ride the hot hand, right?
Yeah.
And I love Wall. But it's October.
It's October.
It's an 82-game season. Look what happened last year, right?
Yeah.
Wall was flying out of the gates. Samsonov was a complete fucking bum, like he always will be. And I know everyone's going to say, oh, he's playing well for Vegas. He sucks. Shut the fuck up.
3rd win last night.
Yeah, whatever. Vegas is the most sound defensive team in the NHL, so kick rocks. But then Wall got hurt. Samsonov struggled for a little bit after that, but then he kind of played a little better. And Samsonov kept the net until the playoffs. And then Samsonov shit the bed in the playoffs. Wall came back in. Wall looked good. So there's no, this guy's just... It's not 2002. There's no Marty Brodeur playing 75 games a season. That's not a thing anymore, okay? And the closest you have is we don't have a Shesterkin or a Hellebuck. We don't have guys that are that elite in the sense that they can still cover the majority of the timeshare, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's never going to be 80-20 for one guy. Yeah. I don't think it will be, no matter how bad the one player is playing, right?
No. Because you need to give the goalies breaks.
Yeah. And you're going to have to... For whatever reason, the Leafs always seem to play 98 back-to-backs a season. So you're going to see, obviously, if they play a lot of back-to-backs, you're going to see a lot of that. I just don't... For the time being, Stolarz is the guy. I think we have a back-to-back again next weekend, Saturday, Sunday.
Against who?
So they got Monday night.
Winnipeg.
Monday night, Winnipeg. Thursday night, they're at home. I can't remember who that game was. And then Saturday, Sunday's on the road, St. Louis and Minnesota.
Ooh, yeah, it's going to be tough games.
Yeah. And who knows? Like Stolarz has never been a starter, right? So can he handle the workload, right? So we don't know. We don't know.
So far,
he's looked really good.
Looked really nice.
You give him a run. But you still need to keep Wall in the mix. Wall still needs games.
Yeah. Especially if you want him to develop.
Yeah.
Like
he still needs games.
There's nothing to say, Stolarz has a phenomenal year.
Yeah.
But
Wall's younger.
Way younger.
He's going to be your goalie of the future.
Young goalie.
Stolarz is on the other side. Now, he's probably 30, I'd say.
He's in his 30s, I think.
Probably early 30s.
Yeah.
And obviously goalies can play a lot longer. They blossom a little later and they stay later.
And they have up and down years.
Stolarz isn't Marc-Andre Fleury. Stolarz isn't playing until he's 40, okay?
Unbelievable.
So Wall's your guy in the future.
Yeah.
And just because he might not necessarily be the guy in the playoffs this year, we'll see. Things could change.
Right now,
playoffs don't start till April.
I'd be happy with a 50-50.
Yeah, and I think that's the way they're going to go. Okay, so my note before the disaster was, I know everyone always says, "Oh, did the Leafs feel different this year?" Obviously, after this week, the note has kind of changed too.
They still feel different.
It does not feel different. Is it same shit, different year, or is it just growing pains under the new coach with the new system?
It's different problems, right? Like, it's different problems.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Defensively, they're looking good. They're killing power plays really nicely.
The physicality.
The physicality has been there.
Not this week.
Maybe not
this week.
Not every game this week. They were physical against Tampa. They weren't.
Columbus and St. Louis was pathetic.
Non-existent.
Yeah.
Last night they were physical against Boston because you have to be.
It's Boston.
Boston will run over.
I want to see what happens against other teams because Boston. It's Boston, so they're always going to come to play against Boston.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boston, piece
right?
of shit city.
So, can they do it? Let's see Winnipeg on Monday. Let's see Thursday. Let's see Saturday.
Winnipeg's going to be a really tough.
And that's
challenge.
the test, right?
That's a huge test.
Yeah. Here's what I think, okay? They're going to ride it out for the rest of the year. And then at the deadline, we'll see what happens. I don't think a lot of the roster fits the system that Berube wants to play.
Oh.
I don't think that's a shocking statement, is it?
You want to name names?
I think we already know the two names.
Tell me the names. Let the people know.
Mitch Marner and Max Domi. I think Mitch Marner is an extremely talented hockey player.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think he is a very good NHLer.
I'm sure. I'd love to watch a movie with him.
Yeah. But if Mitch Marner wants to make double-digit millions,
Mitch, I want to play mini putt with you.
The way he plays is not. He's not worth that.
I don't want you on my NHL team. I'll play mini putt. I don't want you on my NHL team.
To win Stanley Cups, no.
Not anymore.
To win Stanley Cups, it's not going to happen. If he is one of your main guys, it is not going to happen.
And I think if things don't improve, I think the pressure is going to continue to mount. And
it's not even that I think let's give him a chance. I don't think he's capable of playing that game because it's just his frame. He's not a big guy. He's short and slim. Nylander can at least. Nylander's not tall, but he's a little bit stocky. He can kind of. He's not going to go blow guys up, but he can at least protect the puck.
He can dip and dodge and finish the goal.
Yeah, and he can take a little bit of contact, right? Marner can't. Marner gets knocked off way too easy. Marner needs open ice, and you don't get open ice in the playoffs.
In order for Marner to be the best version of Marner, hockey-wise, it's not in a system that they're trying to adopt.
Exactly. And we talked about the Matthews overtime goal. Watch the clip again. Where the fuck is Marner? What the fuck is Marner doing? Marner's off at the red line. And then Marner can see that Matthews rips the puck around. Stupid pass. But Marner can see it. And he fucking stands there. Goes the other way. Where the fuck are you going? Where the fuck are you going?
So who? I guess it's all dependent, but it's like who would pick him up? Because you're picking up that contract, you're picking him up at the end.
Well,
of
he's
the
going to be a
contract.
free agent.
But do you think they can deal him at the deadline?
Listen, I don't know if they would be willing to be honest, at this point. It depends on what the return is.
He's got to move.
The contending teams aren't going to be able to afford him unless the Leafs bite the bullet, and the Leafs aren't going to do that because they're already up against the cap anyway.
Anyone who acquires him is going in to be like, we just want to start contract talks early.
Yeah, and that would be maybe like a team near the wild card places, on the fringes of the playoffs, and then maybe if you go down the standings, maybe somebody wants to make a big splash and say, I want to bring this guy in and sell some tickets since we suck right now. And I don't think Marner wants that. I think Marner wants to play in a good team, but where would he fit? Would he fit in Edmonton? Edmonton can't afford him.
No, they certainly can't afford him, and I don't think it does anything for Edmonton.
I
don't see him.
I don't know. Like Colorado can barely pay the guys they have now. Like, Florida's not going to take him. Boston's not going to take him.
No. And he's going to want to join a team that's going to takes as a serious contender.
Yeah. And teams that are serious contenders don't win by playing the way Marner plays.
You know where? I don't know if they have the money. Vancouver. He would fit in that system.
Tocchet, though. Tocchet won't like him. Tocchet is just like Berube. He's not going to like him. Tocchet likes Quinn Hughes because Quinn Hughes is a very talented player, but Quinn Hughes puts in the work. He's not a big guy, but he puts in the work.
And with the way they cycle their offense, I see him being able to fit in there.
I don't know if I agree. Vancouver already has a player there that is having the same issues that Marner has.
Pedersen?
Yeah, so I don't think Tocchet wants another one.
That's why I thought take some pressure off Pedersen, bring in Marner, and see if you can find some chemistry there.
Okay. Marner I can live with because Marner, there are good things that happen with Marner. Marner makes offense, okay? Yeah. So for the short term, I can live with it. I can't live with Max Domi. Max Domi is not good at hockey. Max Domi has bounced around everywhere around the NHL, and there's a fucking reason for that.
Maxi.
If Max Domi was an elite point scorer, he would have signed somewhere long term, and he would still fucking be there. If Max Domi was a big physical guy who could bring in a little bit of secondary scoring, somebody would have signed him by now. He'd be in that role. I said last week I like Max Domi at center better than I do at wing, which I still think that. But Max Domi, all the things that we have a problem with Marner makes a lot of stupid decisions, and it's a risky play because he's an offensive guy. But when it comes off, it looks great. Domi does the same shit, except it never fucking comes off, and he sucks, and he's nowhere near as good as Marner. He's nowhere near talented as Marner.
And he takes stupid penalties.
He's a fucking idiot. He sucks. He's not good at hockey.
Okay, so is he good enough for the NHL? Are you saying send him down to the minors?
I would
like
fucking
he's not going to make the league?
Send him to fucking wherever. I don't care where the fuck he plays. Max Domi is good for a team like the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Max Domi is not a second-line center or second-line wing on a team that has cup aspirations.
Yeah. And you saw the score or the stats that he came to Toronto with were decent, and then came to Toronto and he doesn't.
Domi was in Chicago, so the year before, 2 years ago, he was putting up good numbers for Chicago. Chicago was a shit team, and they had nobody else.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. So Dallas went and picked him up at the deadline for the playoffs. He did fuck all in the playoffs. He was a complete bum. And then the Leafs gave him that money. He was a complete shitbag all season. And then because he fucking gooned a couple guys after the whistle in the playoffs, so we all fucking love him now. He sucks. He's not good. Okay? If this team wants to win in the playoffs, you need to get Berube players in the fucking team that fit the fucking system to support those guys. Matthews and Nylander can handle the fucking load offensively. There's no doubt in my mind. Domi ain't it. This team ain't it. Sorry. It's not winning the cup.
This has been held in. This has been held in by you.
This team is not winning the cup the way it's constructed. And it's not a knee-jerk reaction because they've had a bad week. I have said consistently, that if the Leafs want to win, next year is the year because they're getting deals off the books. If Tavares stays, it's going to be for a lot less money.
Yeah.
And Marner, I don't know what the fuck the plan is. Whatever.
I think he goes somewhere else. I just don't think he's a Maple Leaf next year.
And we've spoken about Riley too. You're paying all these guys all this money. It's not gonna fucking work. It does not work. It doesn't win when it matters.
And you are seeing, I don't know, with Riley, when he was on the power play, okay, it made him look a little bit better, padded the stats a little bit. And now that he's not there, you're kind of seeing. I'd like to see the defensive more reliable defensively.
Riley,
but you're seeing the offense.
You know what I see with Riley? Riley's kind of the old mold offensive defenseman, where he's a really good skater, and it was just kind of assists and join the rush, throw pucks to the net. But the best D aren't that anymore. Guys like Makar, guys like Hughes, guys like Lane fucking Hudson. They're not just joining the rush. They are the rush. They make the rush.
Yeah.
Heiskanen, those guys are one-man breakouts. And they're still producing. They have the hands that these forwards have, right?
Yeah.
And again,
elite level defensemen are.
Yeah. It's not that I think Riley's a bad player. He's just not he's not worth what he makes. And if he's going to be your number one D-man, I don't know if we can win the fucking cup. I don't see it.
The elevation and the gap that's grown between what is an elite defenseman is shifted a little.
Yeah, 100%. I think Riley's a really good NHL defenseman.
But good isn't number one.
But number one is tough.
And you're seeing it in OEL.
But I'm not. OEL's not a number one defenseman. The Leafs don't have a number one defenseman.
But the way OEL looks and has been playing, contrasting that to Riley.
OEL for the what he gets paid.
You're like
the value, 100%. He's great. Yeah. He's not a number one defenseman.
Tanev's
not a number one defenseman. Tanev's great. I love Tanev, but Tanev, your number one defenseman needs to be able to be good offensively and good defensively.
Yeah.
The Leafs don't have anyone that fits that, and that's not you have to be at least seriously above average at least one of those things and good at the other to be considered an elite number one defenseman in the NHL. The Leafs don't have that. The Leafs goaltending is not an issue for me this year.
No.
I think with this timeshare, and if you got a competent team in front of you, I don't think it's an issue. I think you go win. Because you don't need Shesterkin or a Hellebuck to win the cup anymore if your team is good. It's not a thing.
Yeah.
You need above average goaltending that just doesn't lose games for you. We don't play the right way. And if we want to win the cup, Berube knows how to win. Listen to him. Tree, I know you love Domi for some fucking reason. He stinks. He ain't good at hockey. He doesn't grind. He doesn't score. What the fuck does Domi do?
Face washes guys after the whistle.
I for the people that like Marner and Domi, I would just if you go watch on TV or even if you go to a game, just watch when they're on the ice. Just watch them. Don't watch anything else. Just watch them, and I promise you, you will not be able to believe the dumb fucking decision making. It's incredible.
We gotta have Ty on. We gotta have Ty on, and we gotta say what's wrong with your son.
What? How? He must be adopted. He can't be Ty Domi's biological child. He can't be. It's not possible.
Why not?
You know why not?
Are you saying he's a little soft?
He's puppy shit.
A little bit more bark than he has bite.
Yeah, I think so.
He's not Ty Domi. He's not biting guys on the bench.
And if Max Domi was an elite hockey player skill wise, then I wouldn't have an issue. I would have a little bit of an issue, but I wouldn't have as much of an issue of the lack of physicality. But he was literally brought in for that fucking reason.
And he's on how many years?
I don't know. I don't even know.
I think it was more than 1 year.
It was more than 1 year.
I think it was like a 3 year or something.
It's just gonna look like the Reeves deal. It's gonna look like fucking shit.
Yeah. What's next?
I think that's all I had on the Leafs, to be honest.
Looking forward, I mean, Winnipeg will be a test tomorrow.
I need better, honestly. Again, it's not to
See if we can get a rise to the occasion again.
Again, it's not. I don't want to be seen as I'm overreacting, blah blah blah. But this team does not. It's. This isn't just because of this year. This is because of how many years have we watched this. This team isn't going.
The last 15 years.
Yeah, but like this core is what I'm referring to. This core of players.
Yeah.
Is what I'm referring to. You want things to change, you have to change.
We need Phil Kessel. We
Did you listen to what I just the problem was?
Yeah, but if you bring Phil in, he's such a hockey locker room guy.
Okay.
He'll
How
motivate.
about Phil just plays
rest-
poker and let's move on here.
Phil, I hope you win, bud.
Okay. So that's it for the Leafs stuff. Sorry for raging a little bit. Do you have anything else on the Leafs?
I don't think so.
We're pushing an hour here, so
That's pretty much it,
Yeah.
honestly. Like that's kind of been the week. It was a lot of games. Move on. Let's look forward to the next week, and we just want it to be better than the
let's
last
be
game.
fucking better. Fucking hit someone. All right. Sorry for the rant. We'll start positive.
Okay.
Sergei Bobrovsky is the fastest goalie in NHL history to 400 wins. Well done to him. Just thought I'd throw that out there. I'm
job,
surprised,
Bob.
actually. I didn't expect that because there was some years there in Florida. When he first got to Florida,
I didn't realize. It's
Bob,
like you
Bob was
mentioned.
not the starter at the beginning of the playoffs last 2 years ago.
I didn't realize that.
He signed that big ticket, and it was not good in Florida.
Where did he come from again? Was it
Columbus.
Columbus?
Yeah.
That's surprising. And if
And obviously,
so how?
he's a terrific goalie. That stretch in Florida, it was not working.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he's just figured it out. And he was great in Columbus before that. He was very good. He was in Philly before. Where else did he play? I don't know if he played anywhere else, but I think Columbus was his best before the past couple years in Florida.
I didn't realize even how long he'd been in the league.
Oh, yeah, it's been a long time.
But congratulations, 400 wins is huge.
Well done, Bob. He's been the best, one of the best goalies in the league. Kind of low key,
Yeah.
honestly. I know Philly. I know Columbus.
On
That's
another
it.
note,
Philly, Columbus, Florida. I was right.
the amount of high-scoring games happening in the NHL right now is insane.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Like
we talked about it last week.
15-goal game.
Yeah.
Last night, Philly versus I don't know who they
Yeah.
played, 7-5. Like these are big scoring games.
Yeah, I know we want to get more offensive, but like this is a little.
This
absurd.
is wild.
Yeah, it's a little absurd. Philly beat Minnesota 7-5 last night. You touched on a little bit with the stuff, and everyone kind of blew this out of proportion. So Montgomery was yelling at Marchand on the bench, and then Marchand's comments after the game, like pretty much telling everyone to quit being a little bitch.
Yeah, everyone's
And
defensive.
if I ever agree with Brad Marchand on something, it would be that. I want to see that.
That's a captain.
I want to see that. I want to see just like Berube did with the first line this week. I want my big guns to get called out if they're playing like shit.
He's a tough guy. Like, and the own it. The absolutely he was right to do this. That's my coach.
Yeah.
We needed to hear that. I would have loved a similar comment from Matthews. And be direct about it. Be outspoken about it. We need to be accountable.
I listened.
Absolutely.
I listened to the post game. Matthews wasn't as outright as Marchand,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he didn't. He it was the same message. It wasn't. He's like, yeah, we need to be held accountable. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
Matthews is never going to be a rah guy. He's a quiet guy. That's just the way he is. His clothes are going to be loud, but he's not going to be loud. That's just the way it is. I didn't have any issue with it on either side.
No.
And everyone knows we both hate the fucking Bruins.
Yeah. But that's the type of culture
But
you
that's what it is.
want. And that's leadership.
If you're going to talk about, if you're going to bitch about something in Boston has a lot more fucking problems on the ice than they do with their coach giving their captain shit.
Yeah.
Boston does not look good this year.
No.
And I mentioned this when we were talking about Swayman. I think Boston kind of thought because of the way that they're thought to play the structure that they didn't need to sign Swayman to that big ticket, and they would be ready to let him go if they had to, if he wanted too much money. It's not that anymore. They don't have the players.
No.
Bergeron is gone. Krejci is gone. Marchand is not the player he used to be.
Tyler Seguin's been in Dallas for...
Tyler Seguin.
The golden era of Boston's kind of
That
over.
structure, way of play, they might still play that way, but it's not going to be as successful with the current players.
It's not the same guys doing it.
Yeah, it's not Patrice Bergeron at the end of the... That's the one player. Patrice Bergeron is not here anymore, okay?
Sean Thornton.
Sean Thornton.
Love those mic'd up clips with Sean Thornton.
Sean Thornton's 2 minutes a night just so he can fight.
This guy's a milk drinker.
Listen, I think there are a lot of underlying problems in Boston, and I'm not just saying that because we hate Boston.
I don't think they have a lot of talent.
Pasta's going to have to carry a big load
Pasta's
offensively.
almost everything.
I talked about Poitras. Poitras's looked good so far, offensively. He's looked good. But outside of that,
Marchand's not a goal scorer. He might score some goals, but he's not a goal scorer.
Marchand isn't the player isn't the player he used to be, and he's older. That's expected. He's still an NHL player. He still has a role. He's still secondary scoring will be there.
Pasta's everything.
Pasta.
That's everything.
Has to carry the load, but it's the structure. The structure. Even if you watch the playoffs last year, Swayman bailed their fucking asses out. If the Leafs would have started Wall earlier in the series, I think the Leafs would have won the series.
Yeah, I think so too. You have DeBrusque, who got shipped to Vancouver.
DeBrusque is gone, and they brought Zadorov in, and they brought Lindholm in. And I think Lindholm's a really good player, but Lindholm's not a first-line center for me.
No.
I think he's a second- or third-line guy.
And so you just don't have that depth anymore, and I don't know. I don't know how they're going to have any sort of a good season with this line.
I think they're going to be a bad team?
No, you still have some talent.
I had them just sneaking in the playoffs. I know Jack had them in.
I did.
Pretty, comfortably. But things could change. Obviously, it's a long season. It's only
just as we were talking about the Leafs.
It's only October. Things can change.
Week 3.
But at the same time, the Leafs have a lot more offensive upside, where they can get away with maybe some bad defensive nights and outscore their problems. Sometimes I don't think Boston can do that as much. Now, granted, they do.
Reliable.
Now, granted, if the Swayman from the playoffs last year is showing up, then they can probably get away with some stuff. But Boston, I know Boston has this reputation, but Boston in the playoffs since they won the Cup, 15 years ago?
Yeah,
2011.
15, yeah.
They won the Cup in 2011.
Yeah.
The playoff success has not been there.
Outside
of that, they made the final against Chicago the one year, but that was only a couple years after that Cup win. And since then, they lost to St. Louis in the final. So there's a couple, I'm not completely right in this sense, but they haven't got it done. They blew they let in 2 goals in the last minute against Chicago and lost the series. They lost in Game 7 to St. Louis. That season where they had the best regular season ever, they blew a 3-1 lead to Florida.
Yeah.
They got dummied by Florida last year in the playoffs. Boston is not as good in the playoffs as everyone makes them out to be.
They seem to be this boogeyman for Leafs fans.
It's just the Leafs.
Yeah.
It's the Leafs. Boston plays the right way. They just don't.
Doesn't matter who fills the jersey that night. If the Bruins are in the other locker room,
yeah.
There's a weird just kind of feeling as a Leafs fan.
But I don't know. I don't think they're a contender. I just don't.
We'll see what the rest of the season brings.
That's all I have on Boston.
Okay.
We're gonna hype up our old assistant coach here, Spencer Carberry, and the Washington Capitals.
Doing okay.
I don't know how they're still good.
Doing okay.
Obviously, the roster improved from last year. I just still didn't think it was terrific.
McMichael putting up some points. Just nice to see.
So the big storyline. Ovi's always going to be the storyline, but he's still way too far out for it to be.
Yeah.
To get too hyped, right? And he hasn't scored much out of the gate, so we'll probably wait until next year. I think at this point. Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson's getting Team Canada shouts right now.
Is he really?
Oh yeah, he's getting big Team Canada shouts. And listen, if it was 2-3 years ago, I wouldn't hate it. I think it might be a little late.
And Tom Wilson, fuck you, first of all.
Well, the type of player he is.
Fuck you.
The type of player he is, I want him on my team.
If he's on your team.
So Tom Wilson played for the Leafs.
Yeah, fuck you, Tom.
Why do you hate Tom Wilson that much?
He's a dirty player.
He wins. Like, that style wins.
I get it. I just don't like it. I just don't.
That's why you're a fucking Oilers fan.
Oh God. Is he putting points?
I think he's putting up a decent amount of points.
Yeah.
If he's getting that hype, he must be doing something. Washington's 5-2. Tom Wilson, 5 goals, 1 assist. There you go. 5 goals in 7 games.
That's
not too shabby.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
You're outscoring Matthews.
It's a decent show. I don't think it's out of the realm. It's just I don't know. It's a very small sample size, so we'll see. I know Tom Wilson had that bad injury a couple of years ago, and he hasn't really been the same since.
McMichael's put up some goals.
Yeah.
Chikrin.
Strome has looked good again this year. Strome was really good last year. He's looked good. He's been good so far.
Chikrin's putting up some points.
Yeah,
he's
okay,
looking.
He's
the choo-choo train is back.
Fucking butt buddy Chikrin.
He's picking it up.
Yeah.
He's having a better year than he did in Ottawa.
John Carlson flies under the radar too, as in terms of like offensive defenseman.
He's really old. He's like 38.
Well, no, he's not that old.
40.
Not old. He's not that old, but like just like in terms of his whole career, he's kind of flown under the radar as an offensive defenseman. I think he's a solid player. I don't think he's. I think some people probably overrate him a little bit. He's 34. Calm the fuck down.
Might as well be 50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Washington's looking good. Logan Thompson in net.
Has he? I thought he was hurt.
He's played a couple games now.
He's played a couple. Okay.
And
Lindgren
done well
last night. They got lit up by Tampa last night, but Lindgren was in net. So yeah, Thompson's 3-0.
Doing well.
Not too shabby.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people counted him out when he left Vegas.
Just the injury history, I think.
Doing well.
Yep. That's all I had. I just wanted to give them a quick shout out.
Quick shout out to the Washington Capitals.
Rangers. I want to just touch on them. They look good.
They look good. Shesterkin's looking real good. They're scoring goals.
I think their whole 5-on-5 plays look better.
I haven't caught enough of their actual games. That's why I wanted to see.
That's
the
kind of
game.
been the criticism the past couple years is they kind of score a lot on the power play, and Shesterkin bails them out a lot. But I think 5-on-5 they've been better. Good. And I didn't. Panarin buzzing out of the gate. I knew Panarin would put up points, but at some point I just expected a regression. But he's got 15 points
every year.
15 points in 8 games. So
holy smokes!
Yeah. Fox looks good. Lafreniere, we'll get to him later, but he looks good. Trocheck, even Kakko has a couple points. Yeah, Kreider's got 5 goals.
Go Kreider.
Yeah.
Trouba was a +5 and the other night.
Jonathan Quick as your backup goalie isn't too shabby. So
you take that.
Not too many issues in Rangerland. The Rangers have 1 more point than New Jersey, so New Jersey's the next closest team in their division, and they've played 3 less games. So New Jersey's kind of all over the map.
Yeah, they're having kind of ups and downs as well.
I know Keefe called out Markstrom the other day.
Did he really?
Yeah, he called him out. So we need better.
Kiefer?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Just a quick shout out to the Rangers.
Shout out Rangers.
I want to talk about the Bermuda Triangle a little bit.
Okay.
So Ottawa, Detroit, and Buffalo, we kind of shit on them last week because they weren't great out of the gate. But Ottawa and Detroit had a good week.
Yeah.
Now the Wings.
They lost.
The Wings. What was the game the Wings played?
When Sider had two assists?
I think Monday night. I want to say it was Monday night. Tuesday night. They played the Islanders Tuesday night. They had 11 shots and won 1-0. That's not the way you want to play to be successful. But
what's going on in the Islanders is another.
Yeah, the Islanders are
disaster zone.
We didn't really touch on it. The goaltending stuff. So Husso got put on waivers.
Surprising.
And cleared. I mean, he's been shit, but he makes money.
Yeah.
Decent amount of money.
You have Reimer there.
No. Reimer's gone.
Reimer's gone?
Yeah, Reimer's gone.
Where's Reimer?
Reimer, I don't know where he was in the offseason, but he signed somewhere, and then he went on waivers, and then I think Anaheim claimed him.
Oh, yeah.
But he wasn't in Detroit. Because Detroit signed Talbot in the offseason, remember?
Right. You have Talbot, you have Lyon.
And I think it's time to say, is it time to roll a fucking Alex Lyon?
He was
This is
decent
the third year in a row.
He was good
that
last
he's
year.
bailed his fucking team out.
He's good last year.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a whole lot of Detroit games either.
Bailed out Florida a couple years ago. They barely made the playoffs, and then they went all the way to the final. That big stretch in the middle of the year for the Wings last year, he was really good. They've had a lot of troubles.
If he's doing it, roll with him.
Roll with Alex
What's
Lyon,
wrong with
man.
that?
Give my guy a shot.
Talbot's got the name recognition, sure. Like, who
Yeah.
doesn't fucking love Talbot? But
Talbot's the type of goalie that's like, if he plays on a good team, he'll be fine. Like a sound defensive
how
team.
old is Talbot?
Not young.
He's got to be mid to late 30s.
Not young. He is 37.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be surprised that Alex Lyon is 31. But not really. He's a goalie. But the Sens have looked a lot better.
Giroux's putting up some points.
Yeah. Buffalo, I wouldn't say Buffalo looks good. But Buffalo's in a playoff spot right now.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
After that, like, disaster, because they started disaster
They beat the Wings
again.
Buffalo beat Dallas this week.
Buffalo was getting absolutely destroyed. Their team wasn't playing well. 6K was getting just picked apart. And I think they won 3 games last week.
Yeah, all 3 of the teams had a good week.
Yeah.
So we were shitting all 3 of them, saying, do they want
Don't
a
sleep
playoff
on
spot?
Ottawa.
And Ottawa, out of the 3 teams, I picked the Wings to make the playoffs, but just based on the style of play, I think Ottawa's the most likely.
I like Ottawa. I'd love to see Brady in a playoff.
I just don't. I don't. They should be better by now. Like, they should be there with the talent they have on the roster.
Stutzel,
Yeah.
Jake Sanderson, Giroux, Brady, Shabbat, like Pinto,
Yeah, I just said,
Grieg, go fuck yourself.
and they have Ullmark now.
Yeah.
One thing I would take issue with in Ottawa. So basically, my point was, out of the Bermuda Triangle, who do you think is the biggest threat? I'd say Ottawa.
I don't know.
Not in a million years is it Buffalo.
It's not Buffalo, unfortunately. I think they're probably a little bit more ready than Detroit. Detroit, I don't think has like.
Detroit is an older team though. Detroit needs to do it. If they want to do it, they got to do it now.
I don't think it's with these guys though.
I think they could make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win anything in the playoffs.
I could see them making the playoffs. Okay, if I had to choose
who's like Ottawa's more playoff ready than any of the 2 of those.
I'm gonna go Ottawa. I like Ottawa's team.
There's something about Ottawa. I don't something about it. Like, I
You
think they
think of it, you
should
think
be
they're
good,
weak.
but they just aren't doing it. I don't know. One thing about Ottawa is I think they're going to be I know they traded for Ullmark and they signed him.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be really overly reliant on him. I think they think it's just going to solve all their problems, but structurally they still need to be better structurally.
And I think Ullmark knew this is what he was walking into.
Yeah. And he's been hurt out of the gate here, so he hasn't really played much. But
who's their backup right now?
Anton Forsberg.
Okay.
I think he's a very serviceable backup in the NHL. Don't take issue. It's just that's the way that Ottawa has played. Like, I haven't seen much of it. I don't think I've seen anything of Ottawa so far this year. But historically, the past couple of years, defensively, I know the goaltending has been a big topic, and now they've kind of addressed that. But they still need to be better structurally. It doesn't matter how good your goalie is.
Yeah. You still need to score goals.
You still need to be sound defensively in front of them. But things are looking up for those 3 so far. We'll see.
Who doesn't love
We'll see.
a little comeback story?
Yeah, we can't shit on them too much, but we can't get too high either.
Yeah.
Because all 3 we've seen. We'll see. Boston doesn't look good, so if there's a time to take over,
Do it now.
there's a spot open. The Leafs don't look good either.
We'll see.
Tampa's getting older. We'll see.
Tampa's getting older.
So we touched on Ottawa and Detroit. I didn't really have anything else on Buffalo.
No.
Pittsburgh, we touched on the Gino and Sid records last week. Crazy that they're still getting it done. But outside of that, the D-core and the D-zone coverage and they're just out to lunch. Like, it's a disaster there because they're scoring.
They're scoring. Rust is there.
Did I see Jari's
Yes.
letting them down big time,
Sent
and
to
I
the-
think he got sent down for a conditioning stint.
he did.
Yeah,
not good in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Not good in Pittsburgh.
They've been rolling with Nedeljkovic, and then they had that other guy who played a couple games, a young guy.
I think they lost last night. They were playing... Who did they play last night? St. Louis?
Let's see. Pittsburgh played...
They were playing the late game.
Vancouver. They lost 4-3. Yeah. I don't fucking know what the hell they're gonna do.
It sucks. You're in a shitty situation.
You just you see Crosby and Gino playing like that, and you want them to have a crack at the playoffs, right? But
you don't see how it's possible right now.
Listen, the Carlson trade was a weird one. I said
Why?
it at the time.
That much
I think
money?
It was stupid. I think it was stupid. You already had, if you have Carlson and Letang in your lineup, and tons of respect for those guys. They're two of the best defensemen in the past 10 years, right?
Yeah. Award winning.
But Carlson has never been terrific defensively.
No.
And Letang has had some health issues.
Has he really?
He had that heart shit.
Yeah.
Was it a stroke? It was a stroke. He's had 2 strokes.
That's tough.
And it's not that he's a bad player, but he's always leaned more offensively than defensively, and they don't have the team around him anymore, and he's not as young as he used to be. So that's 2 pairings with guys who are kind of not great defensively to begin with, and then the other guys around them aren't terrific either.
I don't see a world they make the playoffs.
No. The way Washington's playing. I think New Jersey, Carolina, New York are the locks in the Metro. Yeah. I know Carolina kind of stumbled a little bit out of the gate, but they've been a little better this week.
Yeah, they have.
But just structurally, they're such a structurally sound team. They'll figure it out. They'll win games. And Washington looks really good. The Islanders are still better suited than Pittsburgh to make the playoffs to me.
And that tells you a lot because they're not doing well.
They have the goaltending.
You have Sorokin.
And they're better defensive.
Barzal.
Horvat.
And isn't Horvat hurt?
I don't know if he's hurt right now, but I just mean to make the playoffs.
It seems like a stretch.
Yeah.
Seems like a real big stretch.
Pittsburgh is going to struggle. Pittsburgh has the same amount of points as Columbus right now, and Columbus has played 3 less games. Yeah, it's not looking good. They've scored 30 goals, which is one of the highest. They have the most goals out of all non-playoff teams in the East.
And then what's their goals?
But they've let in 43 goals.
Yeah.
I think that's the most in the NHL.
Yeah,
they've let in more goals than the Sharks, and the Sharks haven't won a game yet.
Let's go San Jose.
So, but we expect San Jose to be shit.
We knew they were going to be shit.
We knew they were going to.
This is Celebrini training camp.
Celebrini's hurt. Smith. Oh, what I forgot to put in the note. I wanted to touch on the Calder. We were hyping up the Calder race. Fuck, none of these guys are really buzzing out of the gate here. No.
Celebrini been hurt. He's just hurt.
Celebrini has been hurt. Smith has been in. I know he just got called back up. I don't know if it was last night or today or for today's game. So he hasn't done much. Gauthier, I think Gauthier got benched the other night.
Yeah.
Michkov's kind of a couple goals here and there, but nothing terrific.
Not lighting it up to where you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. We were hyping up Hudson. There's been a little bit of growing pains, which we expect defensively.
And just new to the league.
Yeah.
You got cocky a little early, maybe.
But Stankoven's the man right now. Stankoven looks good. He's the man for the Calder.
Okay.
He's the front runner at this time, right?
Yeah.
And he's in a better situation than all those guys. He's got a better team, right?
Yeah. Makes sense.
I just want to touch on that a little bit. Your boys Nashville have won 2 in a row.
They're on the board.
My point was before, but then we didn't record, and they actually did win before. We were going to record anyway. Will Nashville have a win before Stamkos' return to Tampa? But we'll talk a little bit about Stamkos' return to Tampa. It'll be next week. I don't know what night it is. It's Monday night.
I hope they give him a nice ceremony.
Monday night. You think they'll? I would imagine they would do something.
They'll do something.
Yeah, I would imagine they'll do something.
Did you see Myers? What was it? 800th game, 600th game in the
Tyler
NHL?
Myers. Good for him.
Vancouver. They did a little celebration with him. It was nice.
Kind of Luke Shen too. Luke Shen kind of has had that career revival. It's nice to see.
Yeah.
Good for those guys.
Didn't score against Toronto, though.
Yeah. Stamkos is kind of struggling a little bit out of the gate here.
A little bit. He's figuring it out.
Yeah.
They played well last night. Marceau, I think he had an assist. Forsberg's doing Forsberg's thing.
Yeah, Forsberg's there. Yossi's still putting up decent numbers from the back end. Stamkos has 1 goal so far. That's it. No assists.
Yeah, that's a little concerning.
Yeah, Marchessault hasn't been great either.
No, but we knew he wasn't going to be stunning.
Yeah. They beat Columbus in overtime last night. They beat Chicago on Friday, and they blew Boston out of the water on Tuesday. So they've got 3 in a row. I didn't realize they played last night. So 3 wins in a row, but Chicago and Columbus aren't terrific, and Boston hasn't looked great. So
no,
they play Tampa. Tampa's a test. They play Edmonton after that, and then they play Colorado after that. So now is the time.
If you're figuring it out, now's the time to rest the occasional.
So are they going to? I was going to save this for later. We'll save it for later. I just want to touch on. Maybe we'll probably touch on it next week if we after
Stamkos.
Excuse me. After we actually see the ceremony.
Yeah.
If there is one, I would assume there would be one.
There should be.
Patterson scored last night. Was it even strength? I'm not sure.
That'd be first of the season.
His first of the season. Elias Pettersson. So here's your stat. Let's see what. First things first. Let's check if he scored even strength last night. He did. It was even strength. So we'll update the stat. So since Elias Pettersson signed that big ticket last year.
Oh God, this is gonna be scary.
Since Elias Pettersson signed that, what was it, 11.6?
Big deal.
Big deal.
Big sign.
Because he was good. He had a really good regular season
I
last year.
High on the guy.
He struggled in the playoffs. Since then, this is including playoffs. This stat, he has 2 even strength goals since he signed that ticket.
Are you serious?
2 even strength goals since he signed that.
What the hell's going on?
Ticket. He struggled, and it's kind of in the same realm as Marner.
And it's tough because it's like because they're Pacific, like unless you're gonna stay up, like you don't catch as many games. I've seen like 1 or 2 Vancouver games so far, and it's just like you don't even know he's on the ice.
I usually catch, if they're on, I'll probably catch at least the first period because my dad is a Nucks fan, so usually.
Is he really?
Yeah, so he'll put it on.
Shout out Grant.
So I don't see it a lot, and it's not every time they play, but usually if the Leafs are on at 7, I'll toss it on at 10, right?
Yeah.
And I'll watch a little bit before I go to bed.
Yeah. 2 goals.
They've been that's
2 goals is insane.
We're kind of again shitting on them a little bit. They've been a little bit better,
and I think how many assists does he have? 4.
It's just like Hughes and Miller are the guys for that team.
Yeah,
they're the guys.
JT Miller's sick,
but Pettersson makes 11 something a year, 11 million a year, over 11 million a year. So you expect a little more.
That's really concerning.
And again, I think it's the same thing as Marner.
We bitch about Marner, but
the talent level is there, but can they handle it when it matters? And Pettersson he can't even handle it in the regular season right now. So I'm not sure what that's going to look like.
He's got
to pick it up.
Yeah,
especially if Vancouver wants to win,
especially for that paycheck.
Yeah,
like that's insane.
Vancouver's record isn't too bad actually.
They're still a good team.
Yeah,
and they still got phenomenal.
When Demko comes back, and then just the structure, talk it with the structure. Hughes.
Are you a big Tocchet guy?
Oh, I love Tocchet.
Do you really?
Did I not say Tocchet's the best coach in the NHL a couple weeks ago?
You might have.
Yeah. Big Tocchet guy.
Okay.
I would say, like one of the best coaches, I'd say, like him and, like, Maurice.
Right, okay, yeah, this is coming back. You did say
Berube's in that same mold, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
That's my type of coach.
I like Paul Maurice a lot.
Yeah. Tons of respect for Paul Maurice. Shout out Paul Maurice. I think his wife is from the area.
Come back to Toronto. If Chief doesn't work out, Paul Maurice, make the return.
I can't see it, but okay. Next, I have some teams that are kind of surprising out west. Maybe not surprising. So these 4 teams I have here have had a little bit of success in recent years. Maybe not like last year, but in the past, like I'd say 3 to 4 years, they've all been playoff teams.
Okay.
but I think a lot of people are expecting to kind of fall off a little bit.
Vancouver.
But they've been solid out of the gate here.
Vegas?
No, Vegas is Vegas. We talked about Vegas last week. Vegas is kind of, I know people are down on them a little bit, but they're expected to be good for the most part. I think Vegas is more of a people are expecting to be cup contenders.
Yeah.
But I think people expect them to make the playoffs.
So who are you referring to?
So I'm referring to, we saw St. Louis on Thursday. They looked really good.
They did look good.
Against Toronto. And they've been good so far.
Playing as a team, outworking.
Yeah.
Kyrie looked good.
Yeah.
Vukanovic looked good.
Who?
What's his name?
Buchnevich.
So, okay, reading is sometimes hard, especially with these Nordic names. Vukanovic.
So it's St. Louis. It's Seattle. Seattle's had a solid start. We were very down on LA to start. They've been solid.
Yeah. They've been okay.
And Minnesota.
What a power play.
Minnesota.
Unit. Holy shit.
Kaprizov is absolutely buzzing out of the gate here. I know Elliot Freeman brought this up. Kaprizov in the Hart running this year. It's a contract year for Kaprizov. If he plays like this all year, he's getting the bag. He's getting the bag big time.
Yeah, good for Minnesota.
Yeah. Marco Rossi's been good. Love Eriksson Ek. He just plays his role very well.
Yeah, he's been nuts.
We talked about Gustafson's goalie goal last week.
Yes.
Brock Faber. No sophomore slump from Brock Faber. Brock Faber looks good.
Looks good. Who was it?
So Minnesota.
There's a goalie assist this week as well.
Oh, was there? Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. But Minnesota and St. Louis are the ones there because they were kind of the teams in behind Colorado there for a couple of years in the Central.
You don't think of them. You don't think of them and be like elite level talent, face of the team.
We don't think they're ever going to be bad enough to be like San Jose bad.
Yeah.
But we don't. We kind of think maybe they sneak in, and I think teams are pretty low on those two teams coming in the year. I wasn't high on them.
No, I think Minnesota was going to be okay.
I always thought those two teams structurally very good. It just were they going to score enough goals?
Yeah.
So my question is, so you have Minnesota, St. Louis, Seattle, and LA. You think any of them can make the playoffs?
I think St. Louis could.
You think St. Louis?
I think with how St. Louis has been playing, they could. LA maybe. I think
LA's division is weak enough that they could.
And that's the only reason they could. I don't think they're a stunning team.
5-2-2. Everyone was very low on them. I said they were going to miss the playoffs.
You know who could wake up is Trevor Moore.
Yeah.
Could wake up any day, and that'd be very nice. Because coming off the year he had last year to seemingly be
who I love on their team is Kempe.
Kempe is such
I love
good
Kempe.
Kempe, Fiala, because Kempe's what, right wing?
He plays wing, but I believe he can play center as well.
Had Kempe last year on my fantasy team and loved it. He's on that line with Kopitar, and
I don't know if he's on the first line. He didn't start the year on the first line.
I saw
he was on Byfield's line to start the year. I know that
in his lineup. So when he played the Leafs, he was on line one.
He is. He is now. Yeah.
Kopitar, and then who's the other wing there?
Byfield.
Okay.
I want to touch on Byfield. We talked about not being able to see him play center, and he's already been moved off center. He's playing the wing, and I think that's his role. I think he's a power forward. I think he plays wing. I think that's where he lies.
You called it pretty well.
Yeah, and I didn't expect it to happen this fast, but
And then you've got line two Fiala, Moore, and Danault.
Yeah, Fogle. I think Fogel's a good pickup from Edmonton for them.
So I never knew much about Fogle. I think they had him play around on line one with McDavid a little bit.
Probably more so Draisaitl's line.
When they were searching for an answer, they had him played up. He's a big guy from what I understand.
He's quick. He can move.
And so, good pickup.
Yeah. I like LA.
Especially when LA doesn't have a whole lot of depth.
So, LA... Minnesota, St. Louis, and Seattle. Out of those four teams, who do you think will get in and how many?
St. Louis gets in.
Does St. Louis get in one of the three central spots, or does St. Louis get a wild card?
You know what? I'm giving them one of the three central spots.
Wow. So, who you booting out?
I don't even know who
Winnipeg, Dallas, and Colorado are kind of the three.
I could see Colorado not finding.
Okay.
I could see Colorado just not finding it. And then I could see LA getting in, you're right, just because of the division.
The Pacific is.
I would be surprised if Minnesota gets in.
Minnesota's the best out of those 4 teams right now.
Today, week 3. We'll see if it continues.
And then Seattle.
I think they... Who's been playing net for Minnesota? Is it Gustafson?
I think Gustafson, it's kind of like a 60-40 with Fleury.
With Fleury?
Yeah. Wallstead, I mentioned Wallstead to start the year. He got sent down. He's kind of struggled a little bit to start the year here, but he's kind of their goalie of the future. Gustafson's played 6 games and Fleury's played 2. Okay, Gustafson's 4-1-1.
I think they're going to be really reliant on Gustafson.
He's really good.
GA?
He's been really good. GA is 217, save percentage 922.
That's actually that's really good. Okay.
Matt Boldy's been solid. I mentioned Marco Rossi and Eric Snack. Zuccarello. Yeah, Zuccarello. Yeah. I would say out of those 4, I think LA would be the most likely.
Yeah.
Because of the division situation.
Yeah.
And they've been in the playoffs pretty much every year.
They're not a bad team.
It's just that I just put them in this bracket because everyone was kind of down on them to start the year. That's the only reason I kind of threw them in there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really put them... People aren't as down on LA as the other teams to start the year.
Their goaltending's a little scary.
Yeah. But again, if they're a structurally sound team, as long as they get caught, they're
and Rittich is okay.
Goaltending.
Rittich is decent. Who's their number 1 right now?
Kemper.
Right.
Kemper came in the Washington trade.
Who just came.
In the Dubois trade.
Okay.
Notice how we talked about Washington, we didn't even mention Dubois.
He lit up that one night.
He's still fucking...
He had a goal to assists.
Yeah.
Decent.
He's a fucking loser. It's your attitude problem out of my face. And when Doughty comes back, who knows, right?
How close is he? It's
going to be a while.
It was an ankle?
It's going to be... It's still going to be... I'd say at least a month, if not more.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say LA most likely. On paper, I'd say Seattle's the least likely, but just because of the division, who knows? But out of Minnesota, St. Louis to make the Central, I think I'll say Minnesota.
Really? Okay. Should we write these down?
Yeah.
Stay accountable.
You can write it down if you want.
I'll write it down.
Make a note.
I'm
not saying they will. I'm saying they're the most likely.
Yeah.
The 2 teams.
Yeah. I'll bet you a toonie.
You'll bet me a toonie? For what? Minnesota and St. Louis?
Yeah.
What if they both miss or both make?
We both have to
Nothing.
We each give a toonie to charity.
Okay.
That way worlds.
A toonie.
The society's still in.
A toonie.
A toonie.
Oh, that's the big bucks.
There's some Girl Scout cookies at theirs today.
All right. So we touched on those 4 teams. So the 4 teams that we're going to go the opposite end of the spectrum. 4 teams that are expected to be good but have struggled out of the gate. Now, mind you, all 4 of these teams have been a little better since we last shit on them last week.
Probably got Nashville in there.
Yeah, Nashville's one of those. So Vancouver, Colorado, Edmonton, Nashville.
What the hell's going on in Colorado? Anunen's going to be the starter.
We're going to get to that.
Okay.
Out of those 4 teams, who's most likely to miss the playoffs?
Out of Vancouver,
Colorado, Edmonton, and Nashville.
Most likely to miss. I at this point I think Colorado.
Nashville, 100% Nashville.
Oh, stop it, you. Nashville is too good. They weren't going to stay down forever. They're on a 3-game winning streak.
Nashville is too good.
Nashville's good.
Colorado's not too good.
No.
Colorado's the best out of those 4 teams.
Don't care.
You're on math. Like, there's no other explanation.
I just don't think they have. You have what's his name out? Yeah, you got Rantanen.
We all know you were not going to say Edmonton because
they're one of the greatest teams on the planet, right? They've got one of the best players ever to exist and breathe Earth.
Win something.
They tried.
Then call me up.
They tried.
They didn't win.
I don't know. Colorado just makes me nervous. I think they've got a lot of individual talent guys, but they have some injury stuff to recover from. Druin's out.
Just so you know, Colorado is higher than Edmonton and Nashville in the standings right now. Just saying.
I don't know. I'm going to triple down Like, Colorado's the biggest risk.
I think Nashville is by far the biggest risk. Nashville, out of the 4 teams, Nashville was going in. Nashville's by far the weakest out of the 4 coming into the season. And they signed. I was very, very skeptical of the signings. I know everyone was high on them, but they're all guys on the wrong side of 30. We talked about this.
Which is why
There's no guarantee it's going to work.
It's a this year or nothing.
Nashville it could be a long season.
We'll see. Bet you another toonie.
Another toonie there?
I'm going to go Nashville. Who are you going?
What do I get? The field?
Yeah.
Or Colorado?
No. You have to pick it. You're exact. Who misses? You're saying Nashville?
I'm saying who's most likely to miss?
Most likely to miss?
You're saying Colorado.
Yeah.
So, same deal. If one makes and one misses, the other gets a toonie.
Yeah.
And then if they both miss or both make, we donate.
We donate another toonie. We could be out $4 really quick.
Write it down.
Okay.
Put it in the notes. Do I realistically, honestly think...
It's unlikely.
Like, I think at least 3 of those 4 teams are making the playoffs.
Yeah.
You wanted to shit on Colorado a little bit. So, is Anunin the starter now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
It's not Georgiev.
Yeah. Well, we talked... I mentioned this before. I heard somewhere, I can't remember where, but there was a prediction, or I read, I'm not sure if I heard it or read it, somebody predicted that Anunin would be the starter by, I think, Christmas in Colorado.
And it seems starting to be that way.
Kind of happened pretty quickly.
November next week.
They brought in, was it Kokkonen? So it could be a 3-goalie system. I don't think Kokkonen's played yet.
Have you tuned into many Colorado games? I haven't tuned into any.
I don't think I've seen them play this year yet, no.
But it's just like you see some of these highlights, you see the score lines, you see just overall what seems to be the story, and you're like, what the shit?
Yeah.
You have Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, Rantanen.
So just because you're shitting on them,
okay.
Makar, McKinnon, and Rantanen are the ones that are keeping the Avs.
Of course they are. Right? Who the hell else would it be?
Well, but you're shitting on them, and you're telling me Nashville's
talented.
You're telling me Nashville's got too much talent. McKinnon's the MVP, but Makar's one of the best defensemen we've seen in a long fucking time, and Rantanen's a fucking 40-goal guy.
I just average it, where it's just like looking at you're reliant on all those guys, and if you lose any one of them,
you know that Cale Makar leads the NHL in points right now.
He's disgusting. All I'm saying is you are highly dependent on those. If any of those 3 guys get cold, it gets scary.
When do they get cold? They never get cold, though.
If come kind of a playoff push, if any one of those guys isn't there, if they get cold, if there's an injury, they're screwed.
But hear me out. They already have injuries.
They do already have injuries.
They already have injuries. So when those guys do get back,
who's coming back? Drew needs to come back. Manson isn't injured, is he?
Well, I'm referring to the forwards here. I'm talking about Landeskog. I'm talking about Nichushkin. I would imagine that Lehkonen, I'm not sure what his timeline is, and Druin.
That is a lot.
Landeskog, Nichushkin, Lehkonen, and Druin. That's literally the entirety of your secondary scoring, and it's gone.
We'll see.
I think you get those guys back as long as the goaltending is somewhat competent. Manson's not hurt. Manson's in. Do you think there is a fucking world where a defenseman could ever win the Art Ross Trophy again?
If it's gonna be anyone right now, it's gonna be Cale Makar. God,
it's only happened twice ever.
Who got it?
I think you can guess.
Bobby Orr.
Oh. Bobby Orr did it twice.
Bobby did it twice.
Yeah.
Good for you, Bobby. Then yeah, there is a world because it's been done before.
But in today's NHL,
it'd be hard.
It'd be tough.
It'd
be tough. Do you think Makar will ever get 100 points in the season?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. He's got 15 in 8 games.
Yeah.
Well, he's on pace.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And McKinnon's not far behind, neither is Rantanen. So, Georgiev, yeah. I think he got a win last week.
Yeah, I think he got one.
He got one. And Noonan's the guy. Noonan's starting tonight. I picked him up in fantasy. Let's hope it fucking works out. Yeah, that's all I really had. Touch on Vancouver a little bit. Obviously, they've had goaltending issues. I think Lankinen's been playing decently well since they brought him in. I'm not sure how many games he's played. Let me see here. Lankinen played last night. Got the win last night.
Did he play last night?
Yeah.
And that was against Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, yeah. Lankinen is 4-0-1.
Take that.
So Shelov's struggled, but they brought Lankinen in, and it's worked out.
It's interesting to see these like random acquisitions that are kind of working.
So
out.
just kind of his GA is under 2. His save percentage is .930. So if he's going to play like that, they can be patient with Demko. We were kind of talking about you should still be patient with Demko, but like when Demko comes back, it could be really bad.
If Buddy's hot,
yeah,
don't mess it up.
Don't just stick with Lankinen for now, and Demko can take his time and get back.
Yeah.
I just wanted to shout him out a little bit.
Okay.
We talked about the Avs a little bit. Anything else on the Avs? No. Okay. I want to talk about coaches a little bit because we've had some teams that have struggled out of the gate. What coaches do you think are in trouble if things don't improve? I have a couple guys on my list.
I'm not super familiar with coaches themselves. Like, it's just not what I followed super closely.
I'll throw some out there.
Okay.
Trotz has put a lot of expectations.
Oh, Philadelphia.
On his team.
Philadelphia.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll get there.
Philadelphia.
I'll
guys.
get to Philly. I'll get to Philly.
I don't think they
Trotz.
fired. Oh, sorry.
I said Trotz.
Oh.
I'm talking about your boys, Nashville.
Sorry, I was thinking.
I said Trotz.
I thought Tortorella.
Trotz. So Brunette. Trotz has put a lot of pressure on this team. He's come out guns a-blazing since he's been the GM.
They made a lot of acquisitions.
Yeah, so Brunette, if things don't go their way, is Brunette going to have does Brunette have a leash?
If this, okay, so yes, there's always a leash.
How much of a leash?
If this is a bomb of a season.
Like if they played this bad all year, is he gone?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. They've picked it up a little bit in the past week, but Detroit, I think Lalonde. Like, I'm not tossing Buffalo and Ottawa, so I'm not tossing Green and Ruff because they just got hired this year. So they're going to have a little bit of a leash. Lalonde's been a couple of years if the Wings don't make the playoffs, or even if it's bad during the season.
Yeah, you could see where they want to mix something.
And the Eyes are playing.
Yeah.
There's pressure on that. Pittsburgh, Sullivan. Is Dubas going to make a move?
I mean, I don't blame him for anything that's happening in Pittsburgh.
I don't blame him, but do we think Sullivan is not? Dubas is higher. He's been there a long time.
And Dubas just
maybe it's a fresh voice, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Does Dubas go that way? I tossed Montgomery in there late.
I think he's too.
You think he has the leash?
Yeah, I think he has a leash. I think
the only reason I thought
who's their GM?
Don Sweeney.
Right.
The only reason I thought maybe is because of he has set high expectations. He came in out of the gate. First year they were the best team ever in the regular season, and then last year they were still good too.
I think any GM is going to be like, we just don't have the depth.
If Boston was catastrophic this year and missed the playoffs, does he still have a job?
I think they brought him on, and I think that he's a good coach.
I think if you miss the playoffs, he's gone.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. He just got there.
It's been 2 years.
That's not long enough.
It's his third year.
That's not long enough.
But we're talking about a team who, they're not like a young team.
No.
They want to be successful now. They don't have time to wait.
Then that's more on the GM. That's more on Sweeney. You gotta have the guys score the goal. Right. Pasta can't score every single fucking goal.
I did forget some of the Avs, but I'll come back to that. And then the last guy I have on my coaching list is your boy Torts. So Torts is kind of the opposite of Montgomery in the sense that Philly is expected to not be good. But my thinking here was that Philly was in a playoff spot for the majority of the season last year. And they kind of slipped off at the end, right?
They're a disaster right now.
But do we kind of expect Philly to not be good based on the roster? They kind of played above their weight all year last year.
Like, kind of.
So do I think that Briere is going to pull the trigger because they know that they're in rebuild mode, but because last year they had a little bit of success, dude, does he think, okay, it's not going to work?
So I still think Torts is like one of the better coaches in the NHL.
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think that how long's he been there? He's been there for like 4 years.
It's been a few years.
It's been more
I
than
don't know if it's been 4. But
more than Montgomery, I think.
yes.
So
For sure.
I don't know. I look at the team and it's like they have some talent. You have Tippett, you have Konecki, whatever his freaking name is. You have who else? Mitch.
I don't know where you're getting. We have some talent. They're winning because they work their asses
They've
off.
got
That's
some
why they're winning.
talent.
Michkov, Fedotov, is that who you're fucking thinking of?
Yeah,
the fucking young Russians.
I don't know. I think that the team's so bad. I don't think you get rid of them. I think you continue to double down in the rebuild. Because last year's a perfect example where it's like Torts does have the capability of knowing how to get a mediocre team to overachieve. So as you're going to continue to rebuild, you want that same mentality. And he's such a good culture former of seriousness, of we're here to take care of business. We're here to do our jobs.
Yeah.
Hearing some of those speeches he made, it's phenomenal. The Columbus speech. The Columbus speech.
Torts is perfect. That's the way Torts is. I can't see Torts going out and ever winning with like a stud team again. I know he won with Tampa, what 20 years ago?
Yeah.
But that was a really good team, and that was a different era.
Yeah.
I don't think Torts is winning any cups. Torts is a good coach for a young team that's rebuilding. You want some structure, right? I think that's the way. And Torts and that team plays above their weight. I think that's what Torts is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he's very good at that.
It's the exact same thing as Columbus.
Yeah.
You had a shitty Columbus team that
and they had some good years.
Fired up.
They made the playoffs a couple years. They had some good years.
They swept. Who'd they sweep?
Was Torts the coach when they beat Florida the year that Florida was nasty in the regular season?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Leafs. Beat the Leafs.
Yeah, in the COVID year, in the whatever the fuck you want to call it, but pre whatever bullshit that was. So I would say the coach that has the least amount of leeway here is probably Sullivan in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That's who I'm thinking. And then after that, I would put Lalonde in there. Because I think the wings are going to be starting to get really impatient.
You made the Kane pickup. You got some decent players that you're right.
And it's like Ottawa and Buffalo are a little younger, so they have a little bit more time than Detroit. Detroit, if they want to do it, they got to do it now.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's you're in a rebuild anyway, so you might as well go get a Torts.
Yeah. That's who my two favorites for that. I think Brunette and Montgomery are new enough that as long as they're not like absolute disaster, they'll be okay.
Yeah.
And then Torts, because Philly's expectations aren't terrifically high. I just kind of threw his name in there because they had a little bit of success last year. So I thought maybe Briere might be in the mindset of we've taken a step back. That's kind of where I was thinking.
Okay.
I think there's a world where it could happen. I'm not entirely convinced it will happen if they continue to be bad.
On a side note, Detroit is kicking the shit out of Tennessee right now. Kicking 52-12. Oh
14.
My.
I did forget to mention something on the Avs. I wanted to bring it up earlier, like one of our first episodes, but I completely forgot. How about the guy on the Avs? This is not like hockey related at all. The guy's name on the Avs, fourth line center. His name is Ivan.
No, it's not.
His first name is Ivan and his last name is Ivan.
Where's he from?
I don't know. I have no idea where he's from. Ivan.
That'd be fun in the locker room.
That's fucking hilarious. Ivan. I think he scored his first goal the other night.
Good for you, Ivan.
Ivan is Czech.
Okay.
But could you imagine being his parents and you're just like, we're going to name our kid the same
We
name.
just don't want to...
We're not creative at all.
We're not creative people.
Yeah. And it's not like it's like a family name and like he's like the fifth in line. No, he's brand new. It's a brand new name. Ivan.
Good job, Ivan.
Well done. That's all I wanted to say on that.
Okay.
A couple more things. Utah has been buzzing out of the gate, but they have some problems with injuries on D. I hyped up Dursey.
Vince Dunn?
Dunn's not hurt. But I hyped up, I said Utah, not Seattle. Vince Dunn plays for Seattle.
Oh.
It's
Okay.
in Utah. Did
Okay.
I say Utah or Seattle?
No, I think I thought that Vince Dunn was on.
Utah,
Utah.
or Vince Dunn plays for Seattle. Utah, I hyped up Dursey a little bit last week. He's going to be out long term. I think they said 4 to 6 months.
What happened to him?
4 to 6 months.
He gets shot?
Shoulder surgery.
Ooh.
And
So did they know this was coming then? Or this was an injury?
no,
Like this
just
shoulder
happened.
surgery is as a
Like,
result
this
of
just
this.
happened.
Okay.
Yeah, this just happened. And then Marino was 3 to 4 or 5 months, something like that, as well.
So that's guy's long term.
That's the long term stuff. 3 to 4 months for Marino, back surgery. So that could be a problem. That's 2 big pieces on D there.
And coming back from back surgery,
Yeah.
ask Stone how he likes that.
So we're gonna see with Utah. Obviously, they're my boys out west.
Josh Stone.
They're gonna have to outscore their problems. Gunter's kind of slowed down a little bit on the score sheet.
Yep.
Not that they've been bad, but they've kind of come back down to earth a little bit. It was
Yeah.
a new team, high. We'll see what happens.
New environment.
Yeah. But the injuries there, that's
tough.
that's going to be tough for them. See if if they're aggressive, they go pick somebody up. I don't know. I don't know what the thought process is. Another injury, Robert Thomas broke his ankle.
Yeah.
That's tough. I think they said 6 weeks at least. That will probably hurt his Team Canada prospects.
Yeah.
Luckily his St. Louis's GM is involved with picking the team, so he might still have a shot.
To be like, we know this guy's coming.
It's
back
not till
in time.
February. It's a broken bone, so it's a 6-week injury. It's not like a cartilage injury, right? You see those are more long term. So we'll see what happens there. But he was playing well out of the gate, and that's a guy that a lot of people thought was going to have a big year, and that sucks.
Tough to do that with a broken
That
ankle.
sucks. And St. Louis has looked good.
Yeah.
So, couple more notes. Touch on some extensions here. Shea Theodore extended in Vegas. I think it was 7.1 something per year. Let's see,
That's getting
7.425
paid.
over 7 years.
Good for Theodore.
Yep. He is 29, and I think that'll kick in next year, I believe.
Okay.
Which is, the term is a little long for a guy his age, but I think that's just kind of Vegas is trying to win now.
Yeah.
And Vegas is ruthless as fuck, so
They-
once he gets shit, they'll probably trade him.
Yeah.
Good for him. The value is good right now, I'd say. $7 million for what he does right now is probably solid.
Yeah.
In once he gets a little older,
It might be a little bit high, but
you're paying for it now. It's
Yeah.
kind of the same like Tavares. You're paying for the front of the contract,
Yeah.
not the back, right?
Yeah.
The other extension was Alexis Lafreniere. Good for him, I believe. What was?
had a good year last year.
Yep, and he's been solid to start the year this year. Lafreniere extension. Let's see. 7-year, $52.15 million, which I believe is just under 7.5 per year.
Good for him. Another
7.45, and he's young, so that could actually end up being a bargain.
Is he 24? 23?
Around there, I'd say. He is 23.
Good for you, Alex.
Yeah, good for him. Like to see it. He's been solid this year, and that could end up being a really good. It could be end up
That
being
could be
bargain.
a bargain.
Could be a bargain if he keeps playing like this. It could be a bargain.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I would like to do. So they are announcing the Four Nations face-off rosters. I believe the dates are in between November 29th and December 2nd.
Okay.
So we're gonna toss out. We're gonna predict all 4 teams who we think is going to be on the roster before then.
Okay. We could do like one.
Maybe
week
like
by week.
we could do one per
One
week.
a week.
One
That
week
makes
starting
sense.
next week.
Yeah. We can start with
so
Canada.
Halloween the 7th.
Or should
Canada
should be the
Canada
finale?
should be the last.
Because of course they're gonna win. So
So it's 4 weeks. Yeah, I'm good with that. So
Okay.
we do the Scandinavian teams first, and then U.S. and Canada.
bunch of nobodies.
I've made my team already. I've already set this up.
You made it 6 months ago.
Well, I've made adjustments. Let's say.
Okay.
I made my team Canada 6 months ago. I didn't do the other teams.
It was in this summer. We were
Yeah.
in the pool, and he's going. So Team Canada.
Team Canada. Yeah, I got my teams ready to go. So you have homework.
Okay.
So by Thursday, let's do Finland first.
Sure.
So by Thursday, you need to pick your team Finland,
Okay.
and then the following Thursday every week.
Okay.
So Finland, Sweden, U.S., Canada. That's the order.
Okay. Finland, Sweden, Canada. No,
Finland, Sweden, U.S., Canada.
US
And we'll roll them out week by week.
U.S. is going to be interesting.
Yeah, we'll get to
Holy
that.
shit.
We'll get to that. I want to touch on Team Canada's goalie situation because it is in dire straits right now.
But I thought Montembeau was going to be
Yeah.
the
So-
savior.
He hasn't been horrible. It's just kind of like one game he's good, one game he's bad. That's kind of what it's been.
And he's
And
on
the
the,
team in
and he's
front of
on the
him-
Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, the team in front of him we have to take into account, right?
Yeah.
So there's six. I have 6 goalies here that I kind of thought were probably in and around making the team. You have 3 that make the team. So here you go. So Binnington looked good against the Leafs the other night, but Hofer has actually been the better of the 2 goalies so far this year.
And I think started more.
Probably even split. But I think I've heard Hofer being mentioned in Canada. I don't think that's going to happen.
Bit of a stretch.
I don't think Binnington's going to be this bad, and I think he's still on the team.
I think Binnington's still there.
Yeah. Aiden Hill has not looked good.
Nope.
If you're losing your job to Ilya Samsonov, that is pretty pathetic.
Yeah. Well, Sammy won in San Jose.
And Hill has injury history. So he's on the bubble.
I wouldn't be taking him.
He's on the bubble. Montembeau.
Why not? Young
We'll
guy. See what he does.
We'll see. We got to... Because they're announcing the team so early, the next month is big.
Yeah. It's exciting.
It's big, right? I didn't think they were going to announce them this early. I thought they'd at least give them till the new year, right?
Because the tournament's in February.
The tournament's in February. You still have a lot of time.
Yeah.
And the injuries and stuff, you would think
Christmas
you
present.
would think they'd give them a little bit of leeway here.
Honestly, if you're doing this right, you do it over the course of World Juniors because everyone's thinking about international hockey anyway.
Yeah, you could do that. I just thought because injuries, guys are coming back. If you're announcing it now, what do you do with Landeskog?
Who knows if it's...
What does Sweden do with Landeskog, right?
Yeah.
If he's healthy, he's a surefire lock to make the team, but you don't know.
Announcing now seems bizarre.
They got to have some backup guys. They'll probably announce. I imagine. Right?
Fringe guys who may be able to play.
Jari, I think Jari's ruined his shot. I think he's done.
He's in the minors.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Fucked.
But he's not
beginning of the year would have been of course, Jari's.
I think Jari was on the bubble for the 3rd spot.
Yeah.
Now I think his chance is gone.
Yeah.
Skinner.
I don't like Skinner.
Skinner's the young guy, so maybe they're gonna say he had some spots in the playoffs last year where he played really well, and some spots where he didn't
Still
play
made
so
it to
well.
the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yes.
Recently.
Yep. And then the last guy was Connor Ingram. He was really good in Arizona last year. He has not looked great to start in Utah to start the year. He's not been dreadful, but not great.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of...
Is Melka still his backup?
He's still the backup. That's kind of a split.
Okay.
So those are the 6. Nobody really inspires any confidence. The U.S. has 4 goalies who would easily start for us.
Studs.
There would be one guy who's not going to make the U.S.'s team that would start for us. Demko, you live in Canada? Try and become a Canadian citizen. Let's go here.
Yeah.
We'll touch on that. But Demko could be in trouble just because of injuries.
Yeah,
he could be tougher and then make the team.
Is he still gonna? Do all these guys still need permission from their NHL teams
to play for the country? No.
Okay.
It's an NHL tournament.
Okay.
I think all the players have to play in the NHL.
Okay.
There's a rule. You have to have played in the NHL as recently as... No. There's no... it's exclusively NHL players in this tournament.
Okay.
Which, for the 4 countries that are in it, they would be all NHL, I would assume, anyway.
Yeah.
If you're bringing in other smaller countries, that would be tougher. But
that means no Draisaitl.
Yeah. No Pasternak.
No Pasternak.
Yeah. There's going to be some big names out.
Oh, well.
But we'll have the Olympics next year.
Yeah.
Those guys will be there.
Yeah.
So basically, I don't know what your thoughts on who you think the 3 are going to be. Realistically, maybe who you would take or what you actually think it's going to be. So these teams that we're predicting I was thinking on what you actually want it to be, not what is it your prediction or what you want it to be.
So I'll start with what I want it to be, and what I would want it to be is probably Montembeault, Bennington, and probably Skinner.
Okay.
I think that's probably the most likely scenario, and I think that's actually what I would agree with the most.
Yep.
And what I'd want it to be.
So I'm going to say pick what you want the team to be, not what you think it's going to be, what you want it to be for our teams.
Okay.
What you would pick, not necessarily what you would want, but what you would pick.
Okay.
And we'll see who's the closest for each team.
Okay.
Obviously, the line.
You've been having conversations on the side. We're not betting on this because I guarantee you've got connections somewhere inside Hockey Canada.
I don't have connections.
Inside Hockey Canada that he already knows already.
No, I don't, because I know some of the guys on my team that I have on this team won't make the team.
Hot takes.
I know I won't.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. I know I'm.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say Binnington and Montembeault are kind of the 1-2 for me.
Yeah.
Right now, Montembeault wouldn't have been in that to start the year.
He just proved himself enough to be like
Hill and Jari have been such a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Skinner and Ingram have kind of look shaky, so I'm very debatable on the third goalie. At this point, I would say it's either Skinner or Ingram or Hill.
Similarly,
Jari's gone.
Similarly, I would have said I could see Ingram or Skinner. I don't love either.
Yeah, but it's the third goalie, so I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make a prediction here.
Yeah. And you never know who gets hot.
Yeah.
Around tournament time, see who gets hot.
All right, we're pushing 2 hours, so we're almost done here. Frozen Frenzy. Do you know what I'm talking about?
When every single team played that night?
So Tuesday night, every team played, and they had a NFL Red Zone style show where they would bounce around between the games.
I don't love that.
So a lot of people do. I don't like it because I don't think you can't really do it for hockey. And football, they kind of
there's a lot of downtime that you can
and the
swap
NFL,
around.
They're going to go and they're going to say, well, this team is super close to the end zone, so we're going to cut to that game, right? Hockey is so open play, you can't do it.
You might as well just be watching highlights.
So, yeah, exactly. And if every team's playing, yeah, we didn't have access to it here. It was only on ESPN, so we didn't have access to watch it in Canada.
I think it's fun for fantasy because then it's
fun. It's cool.
Make some decisions. This is kind of exciting.
It's cool.
You're taking risks.
I think it just, for a scheduling aspect, it fucks the rest of the days of the week because like Monday and Wednesday there was one game each night. I don't like the way the NHL schedule is shit. It's basically like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday they load up games, and then the rest of the days there's nothing. I don't like that.
You might have one or two games.
There's going to be a few, but it's not like there's not a lot.
Yeah.
I would rather Saturday. I get okay. Saturday there should be a lot of games.
Hockey night in Canada.
And like I don't mind it. You having Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. There's a lot of games, and there's more games those days than the rest of the days. But you still need to mix in a couple more games, especially on like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
And I think
I get Sunday. Wait for the Sunday until football's done. You don't want to compete with the NFL.
And let me, on off days, when it is just one game or two games, let me watch some that I'm not going to watch regularly as an East Coaster, and vice versa for the West Coast.
But it's got, you like I say, Monday, Wednesday, there needs to be more than 2 games.
Yeah. I agree.
Right? I think that's kind of the way it should be. And the scheduling aspect, and then obviously the aspect of Frozen Frenzy bounce around between games. So there was a show a long time ago. I'm sure everyone still uses the Score app here in Canada. Yeah. But the Score used to be a TV channel for you young kids who don't know. And they had an NBA show called Court Cuts.
Court Cuts?
It's the same idea. They would bounce around between games, right?
Okay.
And it's a cool idea. I don't despise the idea.
It just feels like they're adopting stuff from it.
But it's kind of just like forcing it because they're doing it on a night that everyone's playing. And they're staggering the start time so that all the start times are different.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, start in the afternoon. Do it on a Friday. Start in the afternoon. Go into the night, right?
I'd love a kind of afternoon game.
Yeah. That'd be cool. There's afternoon games on Saturdays, but I don't know.
You'll get a 1 o'clock or a 4
You can't do it on the weekend because football dominates the weekend. If you're going to do it on the weekend.
Because I would watch hockey on a Sunday. A lot of other people are watching football.
Yeah, a lot of people won't. especially American viewers, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't Frozen Frenzy, we don't have access to it in Canada anyway.
It's on ESPN.
It's on ESPN, so it doesn't matter. It's for American people regardless.
Yeah.
And they're going to watch college football on Saturday and the NFL on Sunday. So, listen, I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. I don't think you need every single team in the NHL to play to do it.
Yeah.
I think you should have the majority of teams playing. Yeah, I'm not massive on it. It's a cool idea. I have nothing else to add there.
Yeah, interesting idea.
Yeah.
We can't indulge in it anyway.
Any like last hockey notes?
No.
That's
Let's
all
see.
I got.
Let's see if Toronto can kind of run to the occasion this week.
Yep. Any non-hockey notes?
I'm really glad I got to avoid that Halloween party.
Yeah, fuck you. My non-hockey note is we're on episode 4, and by the time you hear this, all the episodes will be out.
I'm learning the editing software.
Okay, that's that.
It's
I
a
don't have an
process.
issue with that. At the wedding we went to last weekend, Jack was going around to telling people that he works for Apple's AI division, but he can't figure out how to sign in to post the podcast. All right.
It was a fun bit. You ever go to a wedding and you're just like, I don't really care, so I'm gonna you adopt.
It's mostly people you don't know.
Yeah, you just can be anyone you want. It's
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, we have that login issue with Apple.
Yeah.
With YouTube, we needed a specific video file format. I might even play around with like launching and recording directly in one of these platforms. Not sure. But we should have all this once we kind of figure
I
everything
mean,
out.
by the time you hear this, it's going to be you're already listening to it, so it's not going to be an issue by then. But
Yeah. And we'll get smoother as we kind of go along and
yeah,
we get practice.
it'll be weekly drops here
Yeah.
on this.
We've officially got a logo, kind of, I think.
Yeah,
We've got the logo.
with the logo,
We're playing around with a song,
intro song.
intro song. You won't be hearing it now because
It'll be a while before you hear that.
yeah. But it's coming along. It's coming along.
It's going to come. We'll see.
And you might have some of these people who find us halfway, 3/4 way. It might be June when you
Yeah.
finally found
Yeah.
us, and you're like, these guys are handsome and funny and
You can't
clever.
even see us yet, but
Also working on that too.
yeah.
Think we have an idea. We just have to get a setup
Yeah.
going. And you can backlog episodes and see here's what the predictions were at the beginning of the season. Here was our hot take in the moment when Yari was an absolute failure, came back and won the Stanley Cup for Pittsburgh. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know.
Who knows?
You never know. Yeah, I just wanted to call you out on that.
Earned.
Earned. I'm not the computer guy here, so that's Jack's department.
Yeah.
I come up with the notes.
Yeah. He does the research. I'm doing the legwork on the back end.
Jack's the producer. Air
Quote,
quotes.
quote unquote.
You can't see me, but I'm air quoting.
Internship.
Do we have any intern volunteers out there?
We'll always take help.
Yeah. You won't get paid, but
No.
we're doing this for fun, people. It's not exactly as if we're famous. We're not former players, so
No.
I wouldn't expect a massive following, especially right out of the gate. But even it could never happen, and we're just doing this just for fun. So if you enjoy it, listen, subscribe when we actually can subscribe.
Like, subscribe. If we ever get a sponsor,
If
use
you
our
like
promo codes.
If you don't like it, oh well.
My
Well,
dream,
listen.
my dream is to be a guest on the Steve Dangle podcast.
No, that's good for you.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Steve, have me on.
So we can yell back and forth at each other.
Yeah.
You're not gonna yell. Well, you don't yell.
I'm not a yeller.
I'm the one that's gonna.
You're the one who will lose your. We didn't even go into PLD. I'm pretty sure you could lose your mind to PLD.
Nah, I think he's just a loser.
I learned that you personally despise Max Domi today.
Oh,
I didn't know if it was this passionate. I knew it was a dislike.
Max Domi is just like all the
whoa.
all the shit things about Marner, it's the same, but he's not as good. Anywhere near as good.
I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to get him going again.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to get him going.
And sorry if you love Max Domi, but he ain't it. Sorry.
Ty, come on the pod.
Ty's from Bell River, from the area.
It's from the area.
From the area. Sorry, Ty. I didn't want to shit on your son.
He was a sponsor for.
You.
He was a Kojiko guy for. He was like the face of Kojiko
He was?
for a little bit.
I didn't know that.
Or some sort of like internet provider.
That's
like
funny.
local Toronto internet
Dusty,
provider. Yeah. Thanks for joining us today, and puck yourself, guys.